Call Xiachen a bastard child, too. I can't even get some alone time. Yenner, twitching in the corner of his mouth, Dizong wanted to say something but was silenced by the stare from his wife. She's eating me through and through. Oh whatever, at least Xiachen has Ling Yan to distract him. Now he likely won't come interrupt us in the middle of the night like he used to. The city guard stationed around the wall was well used to keeping up an indifference appearance. After all, they are not crazy enough to laugh at their king. What they are surprised about was how easily their queen was able to control Dizong. It's just one glance, that's all it took to make him shut up. Good. Bai Yan then raises a hand to stroke her man's chin like she's lolling a puppy dog. Normally anyone would find this insulting. The Demon King was no pet that could be won over by a little scratch, yet this was exactly what works. Imagine a tail wagging in the background. That's the perfect description for the image Dizong was portraying. I'm tired, let's go back and rest. Shrugging her shoulder after noticing all the strange looks coming her way, Bai Yan drags her husband by the sleeve like she's holding a leash. Though a bit aggrieved in the face over his low standing in the family, Dizong didn't struggle and continued to speak while they walked. If you don't want to force the kids, then why don't we make a few more sisters to give him? With so many siblings for him to take care of, he won't come bother us anymore. As the old saying goes, if one doesn't work then make it two, if two doesn't work then make it three. 4 by Xiachen, who always come knocking at their door in the middle of the night. The boy's a stalker that needs to be redirected. Imagine your bottom part was rearing to go and someone douses it with water at its peak. What man wouldn't be angry? Okay. Seeing how pitiful her hubby was acting, Bai Yan finally decides to give him some candy. Besides, in her view, adding a few more children to their family was a good thing. She also likes that idea. In the back garden of the palace, Bai Xiachen had just finished running over to this area when he noticed the soft, cuddly appearance of that peachy girl. Sister, it's then right as he's about to call out to get the peachy girl's attention, Ling Yan abruptly loses her balance and was about to fall into the pond. This scared the daylights out of him. He wanted to save her. Without a second thought, the boy sprints for it before it's too late. However, it was not needed because another figure had caught her right before the princess could touch the water. For the baby girl herself, she was totally oblivious to the fact that she could have drowned there. In fact, Ling Yan was finding the experience very fun as she giggled and flailed her hands around in the air. The critical situation was definitely averted, but that doesn't mean Bai Xiachen was completely relieved. He's still very much scared inside at what could have happened. First patting his chest to calm his beating heart, the boy slowly comes forward to meet the individual who beat him to the punch. Call Xiachen a bastard child. 3. This person was a beautiful and young-looking girl that appeared to be just of the adult age. However, Bai Xiachen wasn't so ignorant to believe the other person really was that young. He could tell by her strength especially. She's strong, and that meant she's been around for quite some time already. Then right as the boy wanted to give thanks for saving his little sister, a high-pitched screech interrupted him. It's uncomfortable to the ear, and that made him turn for the source while frowning. Mooing, you are quite bold. How dare you push the princess down the pond? I'm going to report this to the king and have him punish you. Coming over was none other than Yu Yao, the overly jealous mother of the leopard girls. She's extremely gorgeous looking in her makeup and trinkets, but the mean expression ruined everything about her atmosphere. What are you talking about? Mu Ying's face instantly changed for the worse. Mother, I only saw the princess falling into the water, that's why I fished her up. That defense only made Yu Yao hate her own daughter even more. She simply doesn't understand why her eldest could win Ling Yan's favor to the point where the other maids and guards were shooed away. But it didn't matter to her anymore. This was the opening she needs to destroy that bond and clean things up for Mu Shui. Although Ling Yan herself didn't know what Yu Yao meant by being pushed, but it doesn't stop the baby girl from speaking up to help her own maid. But old granny, no one pushed me, I slipped and fell by myself. Besides, she's not afraid of water to begin with. Old granny? Yu Yao's complexion instantly turned white. I'm very old? Does this princess not know what manners is? I knew it, only a half-breed will say something so rude. No education at all. Making a dry laugh to continue the conversation. Little princess, you are still a child, so how can you recognize the darkness in people? This Mu Ying is not a good thing. She deliberately pushed you into the water just so she can save you. This way you will be grateful to her and listen to her whims. Now listen to me, I won't hurt you. That said, Yu Yao then began to reach out with her filthy hands at the baby girl. What are you trying to do? Boiling with rage in the chest, Bai Xiachen snaps at the old hag with his harsh voice. I dare you to lay a finger on her. Freezing up in her gesture, Yu Yao finally takes notice of the boy whom she's been ignoring until now. Where did this unknown child come from? The palace is not a place for some random kid to stroll into. Where is your guardian that let you in here? Though the vile old hag did find the steambun's face to be vaguely familiar to the eye, she didn't care and didn't want to dwell on the matter. In her mind, she only wants to remove this obstacle and get on with her plan. Big brother. Lighting up in the eye after popping her little head out from Mu Ying's leg, Di Lingyan didn't wait and hurried to toddle for the boy's spot. Once again, Bai Xiachen was scared out of his wits after seeing how clumsily his little sister was walking. Heck, it looked like the girl's going to fall at any moment in how unsteady she was. Run slowly, don't fall, okay? He says with intense nervousness. Call Xiachen a bastard child for he. Giggling with delight as she grabbed onto her big brother's arms, Di Lingyan couldn't be any happier right now. Big brother, I clearly fell by accident earlier. Why does this old granny keep saying it's Sister Mu Ying who pushed? Even though the peachy girl was clever and bright, she's still only a baby and needed some guidance here. Bai Xiachen didn't bother to answer the girl's question. Instead he picked her up and gave the girl a smooch along the cheek. He just couldn't help it, she's too adorable for him. It's so nice to have a little sister, I won't let anyone use her or bully her. At the thought and vow to himself, a blast of cold light beams right of the boy's eye, his aim, right towards Yu Yao who was still snickering with disdain on one side. You go first. Bai Xiachen dismisses Mu Ying who's been keeping a keen eye on the situation. I have seen enough and know you didn't push Ling Yan. In light of the order, the maid didn't move and only kept her head down. It's not like she wants to go against the steam bun, but her duty was to protect the princess, meaning she couldn't leave the princess's side even if she wanted to lest she seeks her own execution afterwards. Nothing but a wild child, how dare you come make trouble at the demon city? Yu Yao finally snaps after seeing how little the boy cared about herself. Where are you parents or guardians? Why didn't they properly discipline you? How dare you try to cover up for the criminal who tried to hurt the princess? If your parents won't teach you then I will. Having said that, the old hag immediately rolled up her sleeve and raised a hand to slap down hard. But, without ever making contact, Yu Yao was shocked to find her hand frozen in the air, unable to move an inch from where it stopped. What's going on here? A flicker of panic filled the old hag's face, causing it to lose all color of red like it's been sucked out of her skin. What did you do to me? Her voice trembled with fear. It's just a human child, how can he limit my movements? Smirking coldly in his face, I don't care what sort of dynamics your family has going on here, but I will not let others take advantage of my little sister and use her. This little sister was someone he intends to dote and love for the rest of his life. There's no way the boy would allow anyone to have an inch of that evil thought in mind. If they do, he's going to remove them for good. Biting her lips hard, let go of me now. I'm warning you. This is the demon city. If you try anything then the king will not let you go. He will kill you and your entire family for crossing me. Mu Ying was absolutely astounded on the other side. She just couldn't believe how stupid her own mother was right now. Dare to say, brain dead would be the perfect description for Yu Yao in this case. For one thing, it's obvious to the maid that Bai Xiachen was no human child. He's using bloodline suppression. Then adding in the part regarding the way the princess was addressing the boy, calling him big brother, the answer was obvious relating to his identity. Then before anyone could say more, a series of running footsteps from the rear had caught the group's attention. Excited in the face at the thought of help coming, Yu Yao got all confident again. Little twerp, do you hear it? Those are the soldiers of the demon city. They have come to help. You better let me go now. Otherwise I will have the king execute you. Just so you know, the king is looking to take in a consort soon, and I will be the king's mother-in-law by then. I am not someone you can afford to offend. Naturally, the ignorant old hag would never dare to say that out loud in the public, but this wasn't out in the open. First it's mooing, she's also a member of the leper tribes, so she's out of the picture of concern. Then there's Bai Xiachen, who she still assumes was but a human child. No one would believe him if she herself denies the claim, or so she believes anyway. Then the princess. Ho ho, who's going to listen to a baby that barely knows anything yet? Call Xiachen a bastard child. 5. Afraid the rancid old hag would scare his precious little sister that was in his arms, Bai Xiachen hurries to pat the girl's back to pacify her mood. However, his woes were clearly pointless because Di Lingyan only had her big brother in those eyes. Whatever foul language Yu Yao was spouting, it never made it past her ear. Good Lingyan, go play by yourself first, your big brother here needs to take care of something. He smiles reassuringly at the baby girl hanging off his neck. It's best to not let her see some pictures until she's older. I don't want to. Shaking her head like a rocking drum, Di Lingyan refuses. I go where big brother goes. Behave Lingyan, go find Jin Tian and play first. Due to how doting he was towards the baby girl, Bai Xiachen's voice didn't sound the least bit heavy, like he's afraid of scaring her. Nevertheless, in light of her unwillingness to go, Di Lingyan still did as told and dropped down from the boy's arm. Her face said it all there, she's not happy. Yu Yao on the other hand continued to snicker with disdain at the scene. This bastard and wild child dare to order the princess around? I don't know how he seduced the baby girl, but no one can shield him once the princess leaves. Once we're alone, humph, I'll make sure he learns who's in charge. But the old hag's evil plot was never meant to be. Before Di Lingyan could take a single step forward to leave, the footsteps that was still pretty far away had now come into view. These men were heavily dressed in armor, all looking sharp and strong in the eyes. Yu Yao naturally felt elated at the supposed reinforcement. What are you palace guards doing? How can you let a wild child into the palace grounds without anyone noticing? I'll be sure to tell the king about your failure. Leading the group here was a demon by the name of Yuan Pe. He's the captain of this squadron. As for why he came running in such haste, it's because he got a report from his subordinates earlier that Prince Xiachen has returned. But what he didn't expect on this meeting was the harsh words coming out of this Yu Yao's mouth, who shouldn't be here to begin with. In fact, he could feel his knees shaking right now. That's how horrified this captain was right now. Just like their head, the rest of the palace guards were also stupefied. This woman is nothing more than the wife of that leper tribe's chief. How dare she scold the prince? And how dare she order us around? Who does she think she is? Yu Yao continues to be oblivious as usual. Heck, if someone with a smidge of brain just took a closer look, they would immediately notice the livid faces across the men. Cocking her chin high. From the way I see it, you palace guards also need to be punished and reorganized for this failure. Not only did this wild child sneak into the palace, he's also trying to defend Mu Ying, this bad seed who tried to harm the princess. If it wasn't for me coming in the nick of time, who knows what sort of plot they would have committed. Without preparation for that ridiculous accusation, Yuan Pe the captain completely fell to the ground as he tripped while running. Instead of properly coming to greet Bai Xiachen by bowing on one knee, he ended up crawling and kowtowing like a criminal that was pleading for mercy. Talk about bad timing. The poor demon captain never did a damn thing, he only came at the wrong time. Now he's likely to suffer some sort of punishment for merely hearing Yu Yao's foul tongue. Prince Xiachen, forgive me for coming late. Prince Xiachen? Instantly after that title, Yu Yao's cheeky grin froze, causing her expression to turn an ugly shade of white as she awkwardly stared at the boy. Asking for death, one, are you mistaken? There's no demonic energy coming off of this child. How could he be the first prince? Yuan Pe didn't give a direct answer to the woman's question. Instead he wiped the sweat off his forehead before looking up at the annoyed boy. When he saw that displeasured face, the captain immediately tensed up and shot an angry glare over to Yu Yao. How can we not know our own prince? Rather it's you, how dare you vilify his highness and frame the prince? Snap. The last string inside the old hag's mind finally broke apart, leaving her in a blank state of disrepair. How could he be the first prince? How could he? The little guy is clearly a wild child from the outside. Someone come, take this woman away. Yuanpa's face was cold and hard when shouting this order. Hold it. Yuanpa hurriedly swung his head around. Is there any other order you wish of me, Your Highness? In light of being so small and young, Bai Xiaoqin's dominating aura was already starting to show on this occasion. You just said my father wants to take in a consort, that you are my father's mother-in-law. What does that make my grandmother then? A gust of wind swept through, causing Yu Yao to shudder profusely like a chill ran through her back. In her desperation, this despicable mother actually had the nerve to turn towards Mu Ying, the very girl this old hag tried to frame as a criminal. Thankfully, the eldest daughter of the leopard tribe had enough sense not to make eye contact. After all, she's not only gone through various maltreatment at the hands of her own mother, she's now also being plotted against by her own family. The consequences are death by execution. That's beyond the level of being biased anymore. Yuanpa and the others were stunned by that comment, of course. Some time ago it was widely known that the king wanted to take in a consort. They're aware of this rumor. However, that idea has been shut down the day First Elder came out of his closed-door training period. Of course, many still believes that to be the case inwardly but would never say it aloud. Now where's the issue here? Well, a consort was nothing more than a concubine. How could a concubine's mother be Di Tsong's mother-in-law? That's unheard of in their society. I want a consort? A cold and gloomy voice suddenly reached out from the rear like a claw choking their throats. Yu Yao felt the dread seeping right into her heart at this moment because she recognized who it was. There's infinite terror circulating across her veins right now. Mother! Seeing who has arrived, Di Lingyan didn't hesitate and threw herself into those outstretched arms that caught this peachy girl in the nick of time. Hold. Di Tsong had no comment for the playfulness of his daughter's behavior, but he did want to get to the bottom of this matter. Who will explain to me what's going on? What is this I'm hearing about me taking a consort? When did I say such a thing, and how come I didn't know? First Elder, who was right behind the Demon King, almost wanted to throw himself into a hole and hide there in this moment. He couldn't believe this. Only a little while ago and he was still keeping the rumor under wraps, and now it's come back and smashed him in the face. It's over, everything is over. The king knows and I'm going to be thrown into the boiling pot. First Elder. Di Tsong's gloomy call to the senior instantly made the elder come back to attention. Asking for death too. You told me there's nothing worthy of note while I was away from the city. First Elder, don't you have some explaining to do? Di Tsong's cold hard gaze eventually fell upon the old senior once a loud thud caught his ear from the rear. It's the old man crumbling to the ground. Trembling in his voice, Sire, forgive me. I was in the middle of a closed-door training session and didn't know about the rumors until I came out. By the time I got wind of it and started to investigate the matter, Your Majesty have already returned. Is that why you're hiding it from me, afraid I would get mad? Di Tsong presses for more info, his tone still as frosty. No reply came from the elder because he knew the fault lies with him on this issue. He was in charge, meaning he should have done a better job. What if Bai Yen misunderstands and runs off again? That would make him the greatest sinner. Thinking up to here, First Elder timidly looks up towards the woman in question. Queen, you have to believe in His Majesty. These things are all just rumors and fakes. There's no way the king would want another woman. He's absolutely true towards you. Caressing her chin while glancing back at her own man, Bai Yan's next words were unexpected. As the old saying goes, there wouldn't be waves if there aren't any winds. Di Tsong's face instantly went bleakly white. The poor Demon King only felt so confident earlier because he believed his wife would believe him, but now what? What does she mean by there aren't waves if there aren't winds? She doesn't believe me? We clearly went through so much together, why doesn't she believe me? Yen, why don't you believe me? I never once thought about taking a consort. I said I will only have you in my entire life, never to violate that vow. I can use my soul as a token for the oath. Di Tsong's tone sounded both sad, angry, and painful there. A mixture of everything. Bai Yan's face got livid over how stupid her husband was acting. You shut up first. Sure enough, the wife's slave instantly went silent and closed his yapping mouth. Talk about holding no place in this family. He couldn't even save some face before his subordinates while trying to make a case. Done with shutting up the Demon King, Bai Yan then turns back to First Elder. As I was saying, there can only be waves if there are winds to push it. The fact that there are rumors floating about means someone is trying to aim for that spot. You really should go find out who this bad seed is, otherwise it will only get worse with time. Hanging that old head in shame. Yes, Queen, this is my fault for not getting to the source faster. I will have my people investigate this to the core. Originally, he only sent a couple of his men to investigate, mainly due to the recent battles and the fear of the Celestial Palace coming, which prevented him from adding more forces to the investigation. Now that he's been given the go-ahead and didn't need to keep it a secret, well then hell yeah, he's damn sure to get to the bottom of this rumor. Yen, you didn't misunderstand me? Di Song speaks up from the side again, his voice hesitant and still aggrieved. Silly. Swinging around, Bai Yan grins beautifully at her puppy man-child. Seriously, she herself was partly to blame for this sort of behavior, and she knows it. The first time Bai Yan would run away from home with her son was because of the lack of faith, that she won't deny. However, it's like the Demon King says, they've already went through so much, built up so much, how could she not trust him anymore? Asking for death. 3. Yu Yao's body continued to back up into a corner, her eyes showing incredulous disbelief. The demon realm's wise and mighty king would become a slave before his queen? This is that man? He promised her one love, one life? Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Women should be nothing but ware for men. How can she dominate such a mighty king to herself? This can't be happening. This is not real. Very quickly, those eyes have changed from the initial shock to pure anger until it fell into despair. Even so, this wretched old hag continues to deceive herself and refuses to face facts. Mother! It's then Bai Xiaoqin's voice broke in, his body rushing over to throw himself into Bai Yan's arms as well. Mother, Ling Yan almost fell into the pond just now but was saved by her maid over there. Pointing to Mu Ying, who continues to keep her head down, but then that old hag jumped in from out of nowhere and kept blaming her, saying it was the maid who pushed my sister into the water. She insists on punishing Ling Yan's maid for some reason. At first Bai Yan was still showing her loving and doting face at her two children, but that instantly changed after hearing that outrageous story. And do you know what, Mother, when I defended Ling Yan's maid because I saw everything too, that person called me a wild child of some bastard. She kept scolding me and said I had a bad upbringing. That only made Bai Yan's expressions sink darker to the point where those around her instinctively took a step back. Right now the woman's aura felt more menacing than Di Tsong's dominance. That's how angry this mother was right now when someone starts cussing out her own children. Di Tsong, how come you are letting just any demon into the city? She says without ever facing her husband. Feeling the cold chill running down his back over that remark, the Demon King knew he's in trouble tonight. Without delay, he snaps at the rear guards who came with him. Who allowed this crazy old hag to come into my palace? Did I not give an explicit order that random individuals are not permitted inside? Yuanpa, the guard captain, crumbled to the ground with his knee. Sire, she was allowed in because of her passage token. She's the wife of the leopard tribe's chief. Di Tsong didn't say more to the poor demon soldier since this was his own doing. Instead, he locks onto Yu Yao, who was still shaking in one corner. That was all it took for the unimaginable to happen. When the old hag locked eyes with the Demon King, she shuddered and then released a patch of unknown liquid down her important spot, which was yellow and emitted a foul odor to the nose. How come I didn't know I've become a bastard that only knows how to raise a wild child? Do I need you to lecture my son and have you discipline him? Prostrating on the ground now, spare me, sire. I really didn't know he is the prince. I only said all those things because I was concerned about the princess. Yes, I only did everything for the princess's sake. I was afraid some unknown stranger would try to abduct her. Yes, I only did everything for the princess's sake. I am not wrong. The king should know this, he should. Thinking up to here, Yu Yao's heart eased up a little and also got a better color along the face. Huffing a grunt at that obvious lie, Di Tsong smirks and turns to his own son. Xiaoqin, the weather is getting cold. How about I have someone make you a leopard coat for the season? If one is not enough, I can have two made. Bai Xiachen naturally wouldn't feel turned off by the suggestion and replied with light in those eyes. Okay, I want 2 made, 1 for me and 1 for Ling Yan. As for her meat, I don't want to eat it. I'm sure it's going to taste bad with her personality. If that's what you want. Di Tsang ruffles his son's hair like a father's spoiling their child. This scared the daylights out of Yu Yao there. Of course she's going to be skinned and turned into a coat. Why wouldn't she be? Asking for death for, sire, I know my fault now, I really know it. I only did everything for the princess's sake. Yu Yao seems to have thought of something then and turned towards Mu Ying. Inge, you tell them, hurry and tell them you pushed the princess down to the pond and that I only intervened to save her. Tell them. Mu Ying felt wrong to begin from all those years of maltreatment, but to hear this directly from her own mother that she wants her to admit guilt, well, that's just beyond grief anymore. It's downright humiliating and insulting. How many years has it been since I heard her call me that? So she's willing to call me using that way just so I can die for her. For a moment, the poor lady who never felt motherly love could swear there's some kind of lump suffocating her lungs. That's just how hurt she was inside, and that's also the moment where any family ties she had with Yu Yao died off. She's done with her and wants nothing to do with the old hag. I did not try to murder the princess. Without looking up and half-kneeing there, Mu Ying respectfully answers without a hint of dishonesty. Sire, I've done as you instructed and cared for the princess with the utmost respect. Never have I overstepped my boundaries or tried to murder her. That speech felt like a thunderclap for Yu Yao. Pointing with fire spewing out of those eyes at her eldest daughter, this woman was seething with rage. Do you know what you're talking about? You were clearly trying to kill the princess, admit it. Don't you know you're trying to kill me by denying that? That brought a derisive sneer to Mu Ying's face. So even she knows that could warrant the death penalty. So she wants me to die for her. The friction between the leopard chief's family didn't escape those present. It's too obvious something wasn't right. Di Tsang could care less though, he only cares about his own family and that meant his precious gem of a daughter. Quiet! Bai Yan finally snapped after seeing the old hag trying to point her finger at Mu Ying. Then turning back to her own daughter with a gentle smile of cooing nature, Ling Yan, tell mother here what happened. Biting her own thumb, the peachy baby explained despite her own nervous expression. Just now I was playing and accidentally fell into the pond over there, but Sister Mu Ying saved me by fishing me up. Although she's not afraid of water, but others don't need to know that. I understand then, sweetie. Giving the baby girl a rub on the head as a compliment for being brave, Bai Yan returns her attention to the woman with that hard cold gaze. What else do you want to say? That completely went beyond what Yu Yao expected. In her view, everyone should be believing her words and not some child. What does the little princess know? She can't even walk properly. Her brain must not be functioning properly. Are you all really going to believe her? The moronic woman splutters this out without forethought. Protect the princess for a lifetime. 1. Handing over her daughter to Bai Xiachen for caring, Bai Yan took one step forward to come before Yu Yao's figure. Her eyes are menacingly cold when glaring down at the fool. Boom! That instant, the old felt like the air has left her entire being as she shoots out like an arrow and impacting the nearest wall. She wanted to scream, she really did, but the pressuring aura coming out of the other side left her too frightened to voice out the pain. You called my son a wild child? You say my daughter's brain is broken? The more she spoke, the more dangerous Bai Yan's face was becoming. It's like she's no longer a human being, but a creature from hell itself. She regrets it. At this moment Yu Yao regrets everything she's done. For one thing, the only reason she said those things aloud earlier was because of fear and jealousy. She didn't really mean to let everyone know her true thoughts. But what's done was done. There's no turning back over what has left her mouth. Gulping hard, Yu Yao kept shaking her head as she scanned the area for help. But not one look coming her way said they would, which eventually caused this old hag to turn back to Mu Ying. Ingo, the princess always trusts you, help me beg them. I don't want to die, I really don't want to die, only you can help me. Mu Ying didn't budge though, she remained still and stood beside the peachy baby's side with that sarcastic smirk. You wanted me to die back there, why should I? You wanted me to die back there, why should I? Originally, the old hag wanted to say some more to make her case, but the sharp pain coming out of her arm sent her screeching in pain. It was by Yan's doing. She snapped the other person's bone with her grip. Mooing, save me, you save me, or I will not let you end well either. I will expose you to everyone, I will expose you. When it came to the last part, her words were deliberately repeated and tone increased to emphasize the point. Mu Ying, on the other hand, continued to ignore her words, only looking to one side without speaking. She didn't do anything wrong, so what was there to fear? Queen, please spare me, I can tell you who is making all the rumors. It's all Mu Ying, she spread those rumors around. Her purpose is to promote herself into the consort position, that's why she got close to the princess, she wanted to use the girl to get to the king. Yu Yao splutters this all out through grits and stone. Mu Ying was absolutely flabbergasted at the shamelessness of her own mother. Even to the end, she would rather have me die instead of Mu Shui. We're both her daughter, how can she be this bias? Closing her eyes, the faithful maid seems to have come to a decision after a long second of silence. My queen, I am guilty. Yu Yao actually fell silent in that moment, as was everyone else present who were equally as stunned by that admission of guilt. Protect the princess for a lifetime, too. So Mu Ying's just going to admit guilt so easily when she kept denying it earlier? The crowd thought, not quite understanding why. Queen, I am guilty. I've long known about Yu Yao and Mu Shui's ill intents. My sister wants to be a consort and has been spreading the rumors on her own in secret. If you need proof, then you can go ask the demon soldiers that brought us into the palace. They were also present when my sister first started those lies. Yu Yao's expression completely changed after that, her voice growing insanely angry. However, Bai Yan's pressuring aura instantly shuts the old hag up again, so she stops interfering. Without the interruption, Mu Ying continues her story. I know my crime is deep, Your Highness, but I couldn't bring myself to oust my own family back then. Now they're getting worse and even tried to frame me. I was wrong, my own weakness allowed things to reach this stage. In light of her own belief, this leopard girl didn't regret her decision that day. If anything, Mu Ying believes whatever that's about to befall herself would be the debt she owes to Yu Yao for giving birth to herself. From here on forward, she owes this woman nothing. That's why I've been limiting my younger sister from getting close to the princess. I know her personality, she was likely scheming to use the princess to her own advantage in some way. I know what I did is selfish and my own fault. Please punish me accordingly, I deserve this. The whole garden has fallen quiet, with most not daring to speak up. Indeed, you are also guilty for hiding this from us. Bai Yan eventually broke the silence, and your punishment will be a severe one. Mu Ying didn't defend herself, only bowing her head low. So Her Highness wants to dispose of me, that's fine. Yu Yao finally found her voice again after this sudden twist of event. Mu Ying, you bitch, you think you can escape this disaster? With the queen's mean, you will also die, ha. Looking at her crazy hysterical laughter, one had seriously questioned if these two are really mother and daughter. If anything, they look more like mortal enemies going at each other's throat. It really begs to wonder what sort of experience could turn someone into such a vile existence. Bai Yan didn't pay attention to the annoyance though. Continuing with her still hard voice. So, I will punish you by ordering you to protect my daughter for the rest of your life, are you willing? Mu Ying was shocked and stunned by that. Looking up, she stares in disbelief at the demon queen. There's no malice from what she saw, nor deceit or mockery, only the serious and firm look of someone asking if she's willing. This made the leopard maid go on a beating rampage of excitement. Her Highness wants to let me go? Yu Yao's expression froze in that split second. She too was in shock and in disbelief due to those words. Yammering her lips, this old hag couldn't say a thing due to losing her voice and mind. But why didn't the queen punish Mu Ying? Mu Ying is a bitch that deserves to die. I'll ask you again, are you willing? Bai Yan asks once again, her brow furrowing due to the lack of reply. This time Mu Ying didn't hesitate and practically blurted out her decision by nodding and stuttering. Yes, I am willing. I will use my life to protect the princess. If I violate my oath, then let me be damned to the darkest and cruelest reaches of this world. In saying this, her eyes are strong and glowing with luster. Very well. Nodding in satisfaction, Bai Yan returns her attention to the other woman that needs to be judged. You are a member of the leopard tribe? Yu Yao was already too stunned to speak, so it was First Elder who stepped in to answer. She is the wife of the leopard chief. Protect the princess for a lifetime. 3. First Elder, go bring me that leopard tribe's chief. I also want that so-called Mu Shui brought before me. Yes, Queen. Without delay, the old senior respectfully complied and retreated for his mission. Due to the short distance between the city and the tribe's settlement, it didn't take long for the elder to return. It's just that instead of bringing 2 others with him, First Elder only had the chief behind himself and no Mu Shui among their group. Queen, I've brought the leopard chief as you instructed. I've also sent my people to go search for Mu Shui because she wasn't at the settlement. She wouldn't make it far since I've closed off the city gates. Bai Yan nodded in understanding. Then before she could utter a word to say a job well done, the loud screech of Yu Yao interrupts again. Yutian, hurry and save me, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Mu Yutian appeared livid over his wife's outcry. He's already heard the full story while coming here, so any will to help was lost to the wind at this point. Seriously, it's bad enough to scold the royal family's children, but to push their eldest daughter to death as a scapegoat? Just thinking of that idea brought chills to this leopard chief's spine. He's been sleeping with such a vile woman, how could he not? Inhaling deeply, Mu Yutian takes to the knee without ever looking to his wife's way. King, Queen, I have already heard the full story from First Elder. I won't have any objections if you wish to deal with her as you please. Yu Yao was shocked by her husband's statement. She thought no matter what the man would try to save her at all costs. Instead he gave her up so readily. Did you forget your vow to me, Yutian? You said you will love me for the rest of my life. Why are you abandoning me now? But the old hag shrieked, the pain in her arm causing that face to distort into an ugly mask. Smiling bitterly as he faced the woman, you are asking me why? Did you forget how you've treated Inger all along? I thought you are only biased to Schwer because she's the youngest, but to think you would try to push our eldest daughter into the burning ember, I can't believe you. Now you actually have the audacity to offend the royal family and drag the entire tribe down with you as a gambling chip. After saying that, the chief had to take in a huge deep breath in order to keep himself in check, otherwise he might just run over there and strangle his own wife. Yu Yao once again collapsed after being scolded by her own husband. Clenching that fist, this old hag was in absolute despair now that her last hope was crushed. Perhaps it's the bond of being husband and wife for so many years, but Mu Yutian did end up making a pained face once he heard that thud of her falling. Turning around again with frustration, King, Queen, I know I am in no position to ask for anything, but can you give her a swift death when doing so? Bai Yan looked at the leopard chief and said nothing else, neither agreeing or denying with her action. However, her next maneuver told everyone it's not going to end well. Seeing the demon queen coming closer and closer towards herself, Yu Yao could no longer keep her body steady and crawled against the wall. I can give you a swift death, but you scold my son and abused my daughter. For that, I will cut off your tongue first as punishment. She couldn't even bear to scold them herself, so how could she allow others to discipline them in her place? For that reason alone, Bai Yan's going to dish out some notable punishment so others in the future wouldn't even think about going down that path. Protect the princess for a lifetime for, no, but that's all Yu Yao could utter out there. What followed next was the sight of blood surging out of a wound along her chest as the blade pierced right through that body. That's the price of insulting my children. Bai Yan says, her voice hard and cold. That's the price of insulting my children. Tears of regret came pouring out of the old hag's eyes. She wanted to mutter something in her dying state, but she was done at this point. There's nothing left holding her life in, which could be seen when her head fell downwards and hitting the ground. Although Muing has lost all love for this despicable mother of hers, but watching the very person who gave birth to herself still felt like a sting to the heart. Is it worth it? All of this? The maid inwardly asks. Mu Yutian also had a change of expression once his wife finally breathed her last breath. The leopard chief thought he could be indifferent, But when seeing the very woman whom he shared a bed with for all these years go like this, he just couldn't bear being so heartless. Emotions converged like a tidal wave that brought him to the brink of tears. Even so, despite his wish to do something which was already too late, the leopard chief also knows the peaceful life he and his tribesmen are enjoying now are all thanks to the demon king and his followers. A choice between his own wife or the entire tribe's welfare, Muyutian knows he has no choice in the matter. King, Queen, is there anything else you need of me? Turning to the person, Ditsong's reply was frosty and hard. I want your daughter Mu Shui here before me, go find her. A slight tremble shook the chief's body, but he kept his head down and complied nevertheless. Yes, sire, I will go find that unfilial daughter of mine. Then go. With the go-ahead, the chief arched his fist and left without complaint. Easing up along the face again, Ditsong returns his attention back to his wife. Yen, I will definitely find that Mu Shui and give you a proper answer. The promise was not only to his wife, but also to himself. Seriously, he doesn't know what sort of sin he committed in the previous life, but he hates the fact that there are so many out there trying to tear his life away from Bai Yen. Now others are also framing him of adultery. Fortunately, Bai Yen believes him, otherwise he would be crying right now and screaming. Mama! Di Ling Yen suddenly breaks free of Bai Xiaoqin's arm and sped over to Bai Yan's side, a whole world apart from her previous way of walking. Hold, I want Carrie. Without denying her daughter's demand, Bai Yen happily bent down and lifted the peachy baby up from the ground. I love you the most, Mama. Giggling with glee, Di Ling Yan's untainted voice was like a breath of fresh air along this garden. It's crisp and pleasant to the ear, a stark contrast to the dead body currently lying not far away from the group. Then Ling Yan, what about Papa here? Ditsong asks with a huge smile of his own. Back when they were staying at the Sky Mountain for the first year of the twins' life, it was this demon king who mostly took care of the children's daily necessity. What bothers him was the fact that the kids still preferred his wife over himself. That's something he couldn't figure out why. Bai Xiao has come. 1. Mama's body smells nice, I like her more. Papa though doesn't smell nice, so I don't like hugs from Papa. Ditsong's face instantly went black, which didn't escape Bai Yan's sharp sight. Why does our children all turn their backs on you? Are you doing something behind my back that makes them not like you? That remark only made the Demon King's expression go even blacker to the point it's bordering on distraught. Without a second thought, Ditsong picks up his daughter and stuffs her back into Bai Xiaoqin's arm. Once done, he possessively pulls his wife into his own arms to announce ownership. It's enough as long as I have you. This girl, her older brother can take charge of her. How dare they all turn their back on me? Don't they know who is the one that changed their diapers? Di Ling Yan's eyes promptly got all watery and red there. Making an aggrieved face while facing Bai Yen, Mama hug, I want Mama to carry me. Locking eyes with his oldest, Ditsong didn't want to budge. Xiaoqin, go take your sister away to play. The steam bun immediately puckered up his lips in displeasure as well. Batty father wants to occupy mother's time again. Do you want more little sisters or not? Ditsong's tone sank into that of a threatening version. I already have Ling Yan. Bai Xiaoqin counters without backing down. If it was before then, the steam bun would surely yield to his old man's threat. However, that has changed following Di Ling Yan's birth. He doesn't need to worry about not having a baby sister anymore. Smirking at his boy's refusal, if you bring your sister away to play, then I won't make you manage the demon realm in the future, otherwise. This sentence completely sent Bai Xiaoqin into a steaming fit. Imagine a fox having its hair raised up like a huge fur ball. That's how flustered the kid was right now. You can't go back on your words, Batty father. You clearly promised me that Jin Tian will be in charge of that. Sneering like an evil villain. When did my promises ever count? If you don't listen, then I will take back what I said. Stamping his feet in frustration, the steam bun angrily stares off with his old man until he eventually caved and turned to his only support. Tearing up, Mother, Batty father is not keeping up his promise to me. Do you not love me anymore now that you got new babies? How could Bai Yen not melt under that face from her son? Turning to stare at her man-child. That's right, You promised him, how can you go back on your own words? Di Zong's mouth twitched over that. Clearly, he's forgotten something crucial, and that was the rascal had backup in this family. Yen, listen to me, no need to explain. It goes without saying that when you promise your child, you have to fulfill your promise. What's more, it's fine for Jin Tian since he's small, we can instill the idea into him through repetition. However, you can't do that with our eldest Di Zong. Molding their children from a young age to become a ruler wasn't a difficult thing. The difficult part was convincing them to stay put on that throne. For Bai Xiachen, who has already reached an age where he knows a lot about this world, deceiving him would only create more issues along the way. What if he suddenly abducts from the throne and refuses to go back on it after seeing the rest of the family constantly going out to travel and play? After giving her reasoning, Bai Yan then turns to the steam bun. Xiachen, you need to remember, you are the eldest. If your younger brother doesn't want to be the demon king, then that position falls on your head. Originally, the kid was full of excitement since he's getting help, but after that comment, his face instantly collapsed into a depressed frown. But, flashing a smile along her eyes, if you can cheat your little brother into the position by constantly teaching him to do so, then me and your father here won't have an opinion on the matter. Bai Xiao has come, too. A visible light blooms from within Bai Xiachen's hopeful eyes after hearing Bai Yan's suggestion. I understand, mother. Come Ling Yan, we will go find your brother Jin Tian to play. When saying this, the boy's face was all red due to the excitement he had over what he has planned. Mother is right, Jin Tian is young still, he won't understand what's going on at all. I can easily manipulate him onto that throne. And with his IQ, he won't understand for at least a few more years. By then it will be too late for him, kakaka. Looking at the way their prince was sprinting away with the princess in tow, First Elder and the rest of the palace staff were just flabbergasted. Why does it look like the throne to the demon realm is some unwanted prospect? Do they not know there are many demons out there who are constantly dreaming of that position? What are you all still standing there for? Bai Yan asks with furrowed brows after seeing the dazed faces. Hurry and go search for that Mu Shui. I want her before me. Also, Mu Ying, you are not allowed to leave my daughter's side from this point forward, nor are you allowed to let her leave the palace grounds, you understand? Yes, my queen. Complying by taking a half bow, the leopard maid didn't resist and respectfully answered. At the same time, somewhere over in the manor where the leopard chief was staying, Mu Tian rushes inside and snaps at the nearest attendant. Is Mu Shui back yet? If she comes back, then tie her up and bring that girl to me. Straggling forward was an old senior that appeared to be quite frail in this household. Chief, Miss Mu Shui hasn't come back yet. We have no word of her whereabouts at the moment. She didn't come back? Didn't I tell all of you to go look for her before I left for the palace? Grinding his teeth, Mu Tian hated this situation. He's lost his wife today, and he nearly lost his entire tribe because of that rascal of a daughter. What more could go wrong? In contrast to the hectic atmosphere going around the city, the palace grounds were rather peaceful right now. For example, Bai Yan was leaning against the comfortable bed she arranged inside the garden pavilion when the three steam buns were busy frolicking around in their playful antics along the grasses. Big brother, big brother. Under the bright sunshine, Jin Tian kept chasing his older brother with a look of grievance along his gluttonous face. You only hold Ling Yan and won't hold me, I also want to be carried. Why does big brother never carry me? Is it because Ling Yan is cuter? That's why big brother doesn't like me? Or is it because I'm too greedy during dinner? Does big brother not like greedy kids? Showing puppy eyes, big brother, I can eat less when we have dinner later, can you hold me too? Casting his gaze downwards at the gluttonous boy that's clinging to his leg, Bai Xiachen sterns up along the face like an adult lecturing a child. Bai Xiao has come. 3. Didn't I tell you this before? You're a man, and a man doesn't need hugs. Apparently Bai Xiachen was so into his role as an older brother that he forgot his own past tales. He too was a super clingy baby that always refused to come off of Bai Yan's arms. In fact, he's even worse in the attachment department. But there's no way Jin Tian could understand that. Continuing to reach up with both of his little hands, the little glutton looks so hurt and pitiful that he eventually won in this battle of cuteness. Putting down the girl in his arms, Bai Xiachen sighs and picks up his younger brother. Only this time Jin Tin, no seconds. A man must be strong and reliable. You can't be like a girl and always ask for hugs and carries, you know? You are going to the future Demon King. You can't be so soft. What is a Demon King? Biting his chubby finger, the little glutton didn't understand a word of that. Can it be eaten? Sort of. If you become the Demon King, then all the food in this world will be at your call. There will be a lot of delicious things waiting for you. Flashing a cunning light, Bai Xiachen really poured in the gravy over his lies. Sure enough, Di Jin Tian immediately started to drool over the prospect of being able to eat all the good things in life. Showing a determined face at the thought of food. Then I want to be the Demon King. I want to be the Demon King. I want all the food. Now that's a good boy. You can't go back on your words now that you've decided on that, otherwise, smiling wickedly, otherwise you won't get to eat delicious things again. Upon hearing he won't be able to eat delicious things again, the little glutton promptly got all anxious and cried out, I won't regret it, I won't. I want to be the Demon King, I want all the food. Grinning from ear to ear, Bai Xiachen knows he's succeeded. Now by the time his younger brother realizes he's been conned, it would be too late and there would be no turning back. Back over in the pavilion, Bai Yan has been watching this entire interaction between her children. This rascal is just like his father, cunning and treacherous when he wants something. Just a few words and he's already conned his younger brother into a deep pit that can't be climbed out of. Yet apparently Bai Yan herself seems to have forgotten something crucial. She's the one who suggested the boy go trick the younger sibling. Guess the trait of forgetting their own cons runs in this family, the woman being the same as her children. Queen, queen. A hurried sound of footsteps suddenly catches the resting woman's attention. Turning around to meet the guard's gaze, Bai Yan didn't need to ask when the person blurted out a message that sent her jumping out of bed. Queen, there is someone outside looking for you, he said. He said he's your younger brother. Younger brother? Bai Xiao? The lady's heart nearly stopped beating at the name. Uncle is here? Bai Xiachen had also run over after giving up on teasing his younger siblings. Big brother, what is an uncle? Di Ling Yan asks from one side after hearing the boy. Uncle is the younger brother of our mother. He is one of the most important people in this world to mother, so you two must not forget our uncle, okay? The steam bun lectures the two babies with a serious face. Quick, take me to him. Bai Yan didn't have the patience to wait and decides to go to Bai Xiao instead. It couldn't be helped. It's been nearly 3 years since she last saw this precious younger brother of hers. They haven't met for so long that even her hands are trembling with excitement. Yes, Queen. At the gate to the demon city, a young-looking man was standing there with his hands behind his back, that face without emotion like he's devoid of temperature. Bai Xiao has come, for those demon soldiers already knew of Bai Xiao's identity, so they didn't make things difficult for the human teen. However, they couldn't even if they tried here today. The air coming out of the person was frighteningly cold that it scared everyone nearby. As expected of Sir Bai Xiao, he is indeed the king's brother-in-law. Right as the soldiers were murmuring the subject between themselves, Bai Xiao's cold, hard voice instantly cuts them off. Bring Di Song out to see me. I demand he come out right now. Sweet. Answering that demand was instead the sound of the main gate being pushed open, followed closely by the beautiful image of that figure whom he's been trying to meet. Bai Xiao's body made a noticeable freeze in that split second. He couldn't believe it's his sister that came out to meet him and not Di Song. But no matter, this was what he wanted more, and it showed in that extremely warm smile he made. Sister. Bai Xiao couldn't even begin to describe his emotions right now, so what did he do? Raise his voice, of course. Sister. Without hesitation, the young man ran forward and brought the woman into a huge hug. I'm finally able to see you again. Bai Yan's body stiffened over the intense reunion. Raising her hand, she gently pats this younger brother of hers like they've returned to the past where it's only them trying to survive in that household. Shower, how have you been? Are you doing well? Relaxing his grip around the woman in his arms, aside from missing you, everything is fine. Through his longing comes motivation, and only through motivation could he grow stronger. This was his driving force. The reason Bai Xiao could withstand the harshness out in the world and come this far alone. Xiao, I heard someone is pursuing you, is that true? This news was something Bai Yan picked up while she was at the border city a while back. According to those people's gossiping words, the pursuers are also from the celestial realm, which was why she's asking this right away. She's also concerned for this younger brother of hers. Showing a faint smile at the concern coming his way, "Sister, now is not the time to talk about me, we can speak later. First I will take you away." Bai Yan was startled by that. Leave? Why leave? I've heard about everything that's been happening here. This is also the reasoning for my coming. At first I was only trying my luck to see if you're back yet, but thank goodness you are. Now we can leave. For the past year or so, Bai Xiao has never stopped looking for his older sister. He's searched far and wide across the celestial realm and found nothing. That's why he came back to the demon city to try his luck a second time. Unexpectedly, it worked. My sister is so good, why should you stay here and suffer under that person? No man out there is worthy of you. If it were just those rumors he overheard from others, then Bai Xiao wouldn't have believed it so wholeheartedly. However, when he came to the demon city the first time, Bai Xiao has come. 5. If Di Zong's own subordinates admit to the rumors when he came, what other reason does he have to doubt it being true? How could he ever forgive that man? He treats his sister as the most precious person in his life. He couldn't bear knowing she suffered such indignation that she had to run away from home with his nephew. He just couldn't. I like to see you try. It's then a loud, angry voice snaps in from the rear. When seeing that silver-haired figure coming close, Bai Xiao immediately pulled the woman in his grasp to the back while taking a protective stance. Xiao, it's been 3 years already, and the first thing you do when visiting us is to find a stepfather for my son? The Demon King snarled, his anger already brewing to the point of erupting. Seriously, if those words had come out of anyone else aside from Bai Xiao, Bai Yan's most precious brother, this Demon King would have attacked right that second without another word. Smirking, you are going to take a new consort, so why are you insisting on occupying my sister? When I gave my sister to you, I did it because I thought you would be true and give her a lifetime of happiness. And now what? You made her and my nephew leave home because of you. Bai Yan just looked at her brother in dismay. Then right as she wanted to explain the whole story and that it's not what he thinks, Di Zong's cool voice cuts in again. When did I ever say I want a consort? Then why would your own subordinates say you are? Frowning in the face, Di Zong's gaze shifts to his own men who are trying very hard to avoid eye contact. Which of you said I wanted a consort? Get out here now. That makes sense now. He was wondering why Bai Xiao would be so angry when he first came out. This explains everything. It's all because of these stupid idiots. Aware that their king's mood was getting increasingly grumpier and darker, a guard that was the captain of this group timidly stepped forward. Sire, please have mercy, we only said those things because we heard the rumors. Rumors? Di Zong sneered. Have your brains gone to mush because you spent so much time in the secret domain? Just because people are spreading some rumor that it's true? When did hearsay become the truth? Have I ever issued such an order? The guards all wiped their own forehead due to the sweat coming forward, now that the king mentions it. We really are stupid. First Elder, I'm leaving their punishment to you. I want everyone who so much as spoke about the rumor punished. They need to be thoroughly taught a lesson for being so stupid. Di Zong's cold hard voice instantly made them all shudder at the prospect. Yes, sire. The old elder nervously complied. After saying all this, Di Zong once again returns his attention to the young man. Didn't I say I only have your sister in heart? Whatever nonsense about a consort, they're all lies. That actually made Bai Xiao show a stunned face in return. But there's no way he could take the word of these people at hand. Instead, he turns to the only person he believes, and that was his sister. Sure enough, Bai Yan's nodding head confirmed the idea. It's not what you think. There's been a lot of rumors floating around, and they're all done by someone who's been hiding in the shadows. Then I believe you. A look of relief swept across Bai Zhao's face and revealed that proud, genuine smile. But if he bullies you, I'll take you away. You are my sister, the most previous person in this world. I won't allow anyone to make you unhappy. Only when she's happy can I feel at ease. Keeper Ling's outrage. 1. Don't worry, I'm happy now. That said, Bai Yen turns to her own husband, their eyes only reflecting each other in them that showed the love they had for one another. Bai Xiao could say he's no longer doubting the story and quickly apologized after seeing how intimate they are. I'm sorry, brother-in-law, I misunderstood you. Speaking of which, the young man always did hold a good impression of Ditsong. That's why he would willingly leave Bai Yen in his care back then. Now that the misunderstanding was cleared up, he had no reason to continue holding a grudge. Uncle! It's then that Bai Xiachen cries out from the city gate, his hands carefully leading his 2 little siblings from each side. Bai Xiao would of course be happy to see this nephew of his after so long, but he's even more happy when his eyes landed on the 2 unexpected surprises. Without ado, he sprints over to give the boy a huge hug. Uncle, I miss you so much, do you also miss me? The steam bun asks, his face smiling right up to the eye. Smiling as well, but a look of surprise. Of course I miss you, how can I not miss my favorite nephew? But then Xiachen, how come you don't look a day older than when I last saw you? It was Bai Yen who answered the question with a slightly embarrassed face. I can explain that, Xiao. I left the city because of that reason. Unfortunately, Xiachen has been asleep for the past year due to some condition he had to go through. Upon hearing this explanation, Bai Xiao finally understood everything and connected the dots. Not going to dwell on the matter since it's in the past, he instead turns his attention to the 2 new kids in the family. Xiachen, they are. Uncle, this my little sister and little brother. She's Di Ling Yen, and he's Di Jin Tian, they're twins and is 1 year old. A look of shock filled the young man's face. It's only been 3 years and sister has already added 2 more, and twins at that? Uncle. The peachy girl was the first to address her uncle, and it was honey to the air for the surprised individual. Di Jin Tian on the other hand wasn't so comfortable in this situation though. Unlike his twin sister, the little glutton had to take a look before biting his lip and calling out as well, Uncle. If Ling Yen calls him uncle then I should too, she can't be wrong. Without deviating from the expected scenario, Bai Xiao was absolutely delighted at the 2 new babies. Sister, I am relieved to know you and brother-in-law is so happy together. Now that I have seen you and made sure you're all right, I can rest at ease and leave to do other things. What matter? Bai Yen asks with surprise in the voice. Do you need my help? Shaking his head at the offer. No, sister, I can solve this on my own. I can't rely on others always protecting me. No matter how strong Bai Yen has become now, he's still going to do the same as before and keep her under his wing for protection. That's also the reason why he refused to join the Holy Land. He must become strong enough to keep up that feat. There's not much else the lady could say to that aside from nodding. Shower, I want you to remember that if there's anything you can't solve yourself, you must come find me. I will be staying in the city for a while. I understand. With a smile, Bai Xiao then looks up to the sky to access the time. Gradually, a sense of worry covered those eyes. It's getting late, I should go now. Keeper Ling's outraged too. Uncle, pulling his lips down into a dejected manner, Bai Xiachen suddenly got the greatest idea when he tugged at the young man's sleeve. Are you going to leave right after you arrived? Is it because you don't like me anymore, that you won't stay? Just like his older brother, Di Ling Yen also bakes on the cuteness factor by staring upwards. Uncle, stay and play with me? Di Jin Tian the little glutton didn't get what's going on with his poor brain. Nevertheless, it won't stop him from observing and copying after staring between his 2 siblings' action. Quickly and surely, he also grasps onto Bai Xiao's hand and pleaded, Uncle don't go, I can eat less and give you my food. Bai Xiao almost couldn't handle the cuteness coming out of his nephews and niece, especially the little glutton who clearly didn't know what's happening based on his appearance. Sister. The poor guy turns to Bai Yen for help. He just couldn't bring himself to push them away. Smiling along the face. Shower, you rarely come and visit me, so why don't you stay for a few days at least? It's the same even if you leave later. Making a bittersweet smile, Bai Xiao knew he's cornered on the matter. Alright, fine, looks like I'm stuck here for sure with these kids clinging to me. Alright sister, I'll stay for a few days like you ask. That brought a victorious smirk to Bai Yan's face. If Shower stays, then I can use this time to find out who is after him. If it's not too dangerous, then I will let him go. If not, whoever dares to go after my brother will pay dearly for having the idea. Yeah. Jumping with excitement across his face, Xianxia started to swing the young man's hand in a playful manner. Uncle, you have no idea how much I miss you. The people here in this place are all so bad, but don't worry, Mother already made them pay for that. Caressing his nephew's hair, Xianxia is still as adorable as ever, so lovable and cute. First Elder, go arrange everything for my brother. Pausing for a second, Bai Yan's tone suddenly got heavy and stern. Also, make sure everyone knows Shower is my brother. No one is allowed to disrespect him. Otherwise the punishment will be severe. Humans hates anything that's not their kind. Likewise, demonic monsters also hate humans in turn. So, out of worry for her own brother's well-being, Bai Yan wants to make sure everyone in the city knows they aren't allowed to cross the line. Yes, Your Highness. First Elder complies and then made a welcoming gesture to the lad. Please, Sir Xiao, this way. After finding her brother gone and they alone again, Bai Yan turns to the children with a cheerful face. The three of you did well. Mother, praise me, praise me. Di Ling Yan was the most vocal and the first to run into her mother's arm. That face said it all. She wanted to be pampered. Ling Yan is awesome. Those words instantly brought a giggle to the peachy girl's face that was wiggling in Bai Yan's arm. Mother only praised Ling Yan. I also want to be praised. It's then Di Tian, the little glutton, also joins in, his proud face showing he also wanted to be pampered. Tian is also awesome. That said, Bai Yan uses her other arm to lift her second son up for a smooch. You did well in making your uncle stay. Now I need all three of you to keep him here, the longer the better, understand? Mother here needs to find out what's happening with your uncle. Keeper Ling's outrage. 3. In that split second where her mood turned negative, Bai Yan unintentionally released her murderous aura, which in kind scared the daylights out of her two children in her arms. Is Mother unhappy? Why does she look so scary all of a sudden? Di Tian, the little glutton, thought while Di Ling Yan only kept staring at her own mother. Ling Yan, Tian, I'm sorry I scared you. Realizing her mistake, the woman quickly recovers her composure and donned a heartwarming smile. The two of you go play with your older brother now, but do not leave the city under any circumstances, okay? This was her way of making sure those from the Celestial Palace couldn't get to her daughter. Yes, Mother, I know what to do. Xianxia was the one who answered the order. His face also appearing quite serious because he knew what Bai Yan meant by that last bit. I will protect my sister and not let those evil people get to her. Good. Pleased by that, the woman lets the two soft buns from her arms down and shooed them over. Go ahead and take your sister and brother, you are in charge of them while me and your father aren't around. Okay, Mother. Xianxia reaffirms his own status with a nod, vowing inwardly to protect his little sister from everyone. Back over in the Celestial Palace, Keeper Ling and Keeper Zun had just walked through the main gates when they were bombarded with the ruined image of their home. For a while, the pair were utterly speechless as they stood there, silent with teeth clenched. This pause continued until someone called out to them. It was Keeper Yellow who had finished cleaning up the backyard when the old-timer saw who has returned. Unexpectedly though, instead of a greeting like the person expected from these two, Keeper Ling completely erupted and lost his cool as Bai Yan's words echoed in his brain. Keeper Red is dead, and the Celestial Palace erupted into internal battle. With rage-filled eyes, the foul-tempered Keeper Ling didn't utter a single word in reply. All he did was raise a fist and sent it flying into his opponent's chest, sending Keeper Yellow stumbling backwards in shocked pain. To be clear, if it was under normal circumstances, the poor guy that just came out of the backyard wouldn't have flinched in the slightest from such a punch, but this hit came out of nowhere. Rather than say he's hurt, his emotions were more of the surprised disbelief kind. Keeper Ling, what are you doing? He admits his own strength couldn't compete with the guy who just hit himself, but that doesn't mean Keeper Ling would simply take this transgression without an explanation. After all, he too was also a demi-divine lord. You still got the nerve to ask me what happened? We've only been away for a few days and you're all going for each other's throat? What about the others involved with the infighting? Tell them all to get their asses out here, especially the one who killed Keeper Red. The anger from the grumpy Keeper Ling grew monstrous to the point where his clenched fist made a crackling sound of air being compressed under his might. Likewise, Keeper Zun, who had remained silent on the side until now, was also looking livid at his clueless brethren. Hold on in fighting? What? Keeper Yellow stumbled for a response due to the weird claim. It's too much for him to process. When did the Celestial Palace attack each other? What the hell is Keeper Ling talking about? Is it because he doesn't like me and wants to make trouble? Thinking up to here, the unhappy old-timer slowly climbs back up again from his location. Showing a ugly face. Keeper Ling, I know you are not in favor of me, but there is no excuse in deliberately attacking me. I am not afraid of you. As a demi-divine lord, it's not an absolute certainty that I will lose to you in real combat. Keeper Ling's outrage for bang. This time Keeper Ling didn't waste a single word. Coming right behind the yellow-robed elder, he slams down with a palm strike for real, which was met with a countering palm strike as well. The exchange quickly created a huge invisible storm in the air as their fighting dragged out, sending all of the debris flying in all directions. The most notable would be the surviving trees in the nearby garden. It survived the previous battle when Bai Yen attacked, but the poor greeneries got obliterated into nothingness this time around. What are you all doing? Eventually the huge fighting had attracted the attention of the remaining keepers. When they ran over to investigate, all they saw were the huge brawl between the two opposing comrades. Undoubtedly a frown crept into their faces due to this, but more confused by what's going on. Eventually an elder by the name of Keeper Blue stepped in to put a stop to this. Keeper Ling, why are you attacked Keeper Yellow? Explain yourself right now. The grumpy old elder sneered at the question directed his way. As annoyed as he was, he still wouldn't go crazy mad yet and spoke with clear disdain in that voice. You still want to ask me that? Me and Keeper Zun only left for a short period and you're all going for each other's throat. Look at this mess. And who is the one that killed Keeper Red? Get that person out here to see me now. You speak nonsense. Keeper Yellow snapped at the accusation, pointing his finger like he couldn't believe the ridiculousness of it all. Quit trying to find excuses. I know it's because you don't like me that you're making up words. That's why you're looking for trouble. When did they start fighting among ourselves? Why doesn't he know? On the contrary, it's Keeper Ling who attacked him first without a word of explanation. It's clear to the yellow-robed elder who was the bad one in this fight. Both of you stop first. It's then Keeper Zun, who was still showing an ugly face, decides to cut in. Turning to the rest of the group who had just arrived. Tell me the details. What happened during this period while me and Keeper Ling was away? How did Keeper Red die? Unlike the grumpy old-timer who started the fight, Keeper Zun was clearly the more level-headed one among the pair. After hearing bits and pieces, he could already tell something was amiss. From the day you three left, the Celestial Palace was attacked in multiple locations. First it was the training ground for the elite disciples, then the back mountain where we planted the herbs and such. In order to catch the perpetrators, we and the rest of us here went out in two groups, leaving only Keeper Red behind to watch over the place in case someone snuck in. That finally brought some sanity back into Keeper Ling's face. Slowly putting down his fist, he wanted to believe the story but still appeared skeptical. But we did not expect that girl to return, and she also brought the old coot with her. I'm not sure if our former brother recovered his strength or not, but according to the pieces of scars and information we have gathered, Keeper Red and the rest of the corpses here were likely killed by those two. What? The explanation was akin to a thunderclap to the ear, sending both Keeper Ling and Zun into a shocked look of dismay. You mean Keeper Red is killed by the crazy old coot? The Grump Keeper asks with clenched fists. How did that old coot regain his former strength? Impossible, absolutely impossible. Yes, according to Ruoshi's words, it is likely the case. I'm sure I don't need to explain the girl's personality and character to you, she wouldn't lie. If Keeper Red didn't push the lass away and forced her to flee, I can already see Ruoshi dying with everyone else that you see here. Such a good girl, why does the Celestial Lord not like her? In comparison, Bai Yen can't even be qualified to lick her shoes. How can two people who grew up together be so vastly different? Keeper Ling's outrage. 5. Right? What were you two talking about just now? What did you mean by infighting? Keeper Blue asks again after recalling this tidbit. Before, when we were at the Demon City, Bai Yen said the Celestial Palace has fallen into chaos where everyone was attacking one another, and that Keeper Red has died in the process. We came back as soon as I got the signal from Keeper Yellow's messenger token. Unlike Keeper Zun, who only felt incredibly stupid for being played, Keeper Ling was seriously becoming twisted in his facial expression. One could figuratively see a burning flame of hatred in those eyes. Demon Realm. Bai Yen. Those bastards. I didn't expect Bai Yen to be so bold to lie to me. Huffing hard to keep his temper under control, Keeper Ling explains without a hint of remorse for his own actions. This unapologetic appearance didn't escape Keeper Yellow, of course. He took the brunt of those attacks and suffered greatly, which could be seen from the blood leaking from the corner of his mouth. So that gives you the right to hit me? You didn't say so much as a word to me when you attacked. Retorting in an unreasonable manner. If you knew it was a misunderstanding, then why didn't you speak up? Why did you keep quiet then? That's just how it was. Since the day the old coot went mad and had his strength decline greatly, the title of strongest keeper had fallen onto this ill-tempered old-timer. Whether he's right or wrong, or whether or not the fault lies with him, the individual here didn't care. It's also the reason why everyone holds such a strong opinion about the grumpy guy. Keeper Ling. Snapping as well at the ridiculous reply, the injured keeper couldn't hold back and started to vent his anger in kind. What do you mean I didn't speak up? Did you bother to let me speak up? Don't think for a second I don't know you dislike me. I bet you are only using this occasion and excuse to attack me. Now that you know it's a misunderstanding, you still won't apologize? You got some nerve. Grunting in contempt, Keeper Ling thought otherwise. And what if I'm being unreasonable? Look around you. All I did was leave for a few days, and what did you all do to the palace? Ruins. Everything is in shambles because all of you can't get a hang of yourselves. Now you got the nerve to come reprimand me. You even allowed Keeper Red to die. If anything, my punch to you is considered leniency. Our now Keeper Yellow could literally faint due to the blood boiling up from his throat. He's seen shameless before, but not this shameless. Enough is enough, you two keep your mouths shut for now. Keeper Zun figured they are going nowhere and cuts in again. The main thing is we need to focus back on the main issue. Gather everyone still available, it's time we brought the fight to those from the Demon Realm. That proclamation actually stunned Keeper Blue and the others, but what about the Celestial Lord's order? You still think we can stay put at this point? The Demon Realm's forces have invaded our lands, attacked the Celestial Palace, and killed one of our own. They killed Keeper Red, who has been with us for centuries. Order or no order, the line has been crossed. If it were under normal circumstances, they would never disobey Chu-E God's order, especially Keeper Zun, who was the kindest of the bunch. However, it's also because of his kindness that the old elder decides to go against his liege's order. For the sake of this world, he must, his heart demands of it. Continuing to go over the next course of action. Now then, Keeper Ling, while we continue to search for the Lord by sending our people out, we also need to make preparations for our fight with Di Tsang and Bai Yen. I can tell by now for certain that they will never hand over a newborn princess to us after what they've done here. Keeper Ling's outrage. 6. It's a pity though, the Celestial Lord's movements are non-stationary. When they wanted to find the man, he had already disappeared again without giving them a chance to meet. Send more people to protect Ruoxi for now. Keeper Zun frowns up. She's not having it easy. Things are clearly not her fault, yet she's trying to bear all the burden by herself. Her level of sensibleness is enough to make one ache. Such a fine girl. If only Bai Yen could learn just an ounce of her good characteristics, then maybe she wouldn't have turned out the way she did. The crowd got all quiet again, which felt eerily uncomfortable in this place. Ho! But Keeper Ling clearly thought otherwise in comparison to his comrades. You all think it's strange that Ruoxi couldn't win the Lord's heart, right? Then think of it this way. With Ruoxi's kind and aloof personality that doesn't connive after worldly affairs, do you think she can fight against Bai Yen, who is cunning and sinister? Keeper Blue was the first to react. But in the end the old-timer couldn't refute the grumpy keeper's claim. He's right, she's the type to abstain from worldly affairs. There's no way a unstained white lotus could win in a fight of deceit and cunningness. But no matter what, we will grant that girl's wish. In this world, no one is more qualified to be at the Lord's side than her. Somewhere inside a hollow grand room. Yun Ruo, she had just walked into this place when a maid hurried over to make a report of the conversation between the keepers. He's right, Keeper Ling didn't get me wrong. Unlike Bai Yen who wants everything in this world, I don't care for the worldly stuff. She wants to stand at the very top, I only want Chu Yiga to be by my side. However, this witch apparently forgot something very crucial in her logic. Unlike herself, Bai Yen would only use her own powers and strength to reach the top, while she herself would use underhanded means and lies to get what she wants. Everything that she has right now, everything she owns, it's through the mean of ripping it away from someone else. But a smirk draws itself into that face. I remember the last time I saw that woman, she seems to be pregnant. Even if it's just a quick glance, nevertheless. Yun Ruo, she still managed to make out that uneven belly. Then with the recent attack, she clearly saw that bump was gone. It's evidence that the woman's given birth. If Bai Yen gave birth to a daughter, then those keepers will definitely go after the baby. By then I won't be able to escape from the fate they have in store for me. Darkening in her expression over the thought again, she turns to the maid nearby. Go investigate for me, I want to know if Bai Yen gave birth to a daughter or not. If she did, then come back and report the news to me. If there's no mistake on her part, Keeper Ling also recognized Bai Yan's pregnancy, that's why he suggested the plan to drain the child of her blood. There's no way Ruo she could stand idly by and do nothing, she must kill that baby before the keepers get their hands on the thing. To trick a child, 1. All of you leave me, I want to be alone. Yun Ruo, she the deceitful witch orders. Yes, milady. The maids in the room bowed and retreated with haste. Bai Yen, you can't blame me for this, so you better pray that your next child is a boy as well, and not a daughter. She mutters to herself with no recipient in mind. However, it's exactly then in her momentary lapse that a shadowy figure emerges from the darkness of a corner. Why are you here? A gloom instantly covered Yun Ruoshi's face once she recognizes who it was. Did I not say you are not allowed to come before me unless I call for you? Do you take my words for nothing? Emotionlessly standing there like a statue, the black-robed figure didn't budge and replied smoothly with his hoarse, crackly voice. I'm here to tell you I've located the Celestial Lord's whereabout. I know where he is. Tensing up immediately, the look along the lady's face couldn't be hidden. She's extremely excited over the good news. You know where he is? Since that day where Chu Yiga returned with a warning, telling them to stay firmly away from Bai Yen and Di Tsang, the man never once appeared before them again. It's like unless he wished to found no one would be able to find him. However, there's no way Yun Ruo she would be able to accept this fact, hence her reasoning for sending someone out to search for the man's whereabout. What she didn't expect though was that she really did find that wondrous person, and before the keepers at that. Alright, I understand then, you can go for now. The man in the black robe slightly raises his head over that dismissal, allowing his face to finally emerge from the darkness. His contour would be considered extremely handsome by any standards, it's just that unlike the powerful impact one would expect, he's rather soft and frail-looking. Ruoshi, why can't you let him go? As long as you can put him down and leave this place, I will guarantee a lifetime of peace for you. Sinking into a gloom along her face, the deceitful witch snapped at the busybody. What qualifications do you have to meddle with my affairs? Don't forget, you're nothing but a dog that I saved off the streets. In comparison to Brother Egod, you are nothing, so why should I leave with you? Don't forget, you're just a dog I saved off the streets. The remark stung the black-robed man, causing his hands to clench up in frustration. Nevertheless, that struggling face eventually loosened up like it didn't faze him. I see, I'm sorry if I crossed the line. When saying that, the person's voice sounded bittersweet, like there's infinite pain hidden underneath. Also, from now on forward you are to find my maid only if there's anything to report. I don't want to risk having those keepers discovering your existence. After all, You're someone that can't be seen in the light of day. Drawing a thin line across his lips, the individual didn't refute that claim, only staying quiet as he stood there willingly. Ruoxi is right, I'm someone that can't see the light of day. So, I don't deserve to be by her side. Finally lightening up in after winning the argument, the witch continues. But you did come at the right timing. I was about to send my maid to investigate another matter for me. Since you're here, you can go in her stead. That is, go to the demon city and see if their queen has given birth to a daughter. If it's a daughter, then remove her from existence right away. To trick a child, too. The man in black went rock stiff over that order. Raising his head with shock shown across those eyes, he couldn't believe that twisted face was coming out of the lady across from himself. Ruoxi, that's a child you're asking me to kill. Showing complexity in his voice, you should know I have 2 rules in the people I kill. One being I won't kill the innocent and old, the other being children. Winger! The witch literally screeched, she is not a child. That baby is no more than a monster, a demon-kin. You are not violating your own guidelines, so do not bicker with me, not to mention I saved you back then. Winger's heart trembled over the reminder, which causes his hand to instinctively clench up. Every time he that wants to refuse this woman's request, mainly because they're never good, he would always act this way. One being it's against his standards, the second being he's not an evil person at heart. Nevertheless, what happened in the past left too much of an impact on his heart. She's the one person who reached out and saved him from that dark, lonely place. That's why, no matter how cruel and ugly Ruoxi becomes, this shadowy man known as Winger would always appease her request. One for gratitude, the other for the ounce of warmth he got in all his life. He's never felt anything like that and clung to that emotion like a moth to fire. Leave this to me then, Ruoxi. Gradually a firm light filled Winger's eye. I said it before, I will protect your happiness in this life. Therefore, I won't allow others to destroy your happiness either. Even if this means he must destroy everything that he holds dear, including his own consciousness, this man of the darkness wouldn't care. Showing a soft, gentle smile now, Yun Ruoxi couldn't ask for a better response. I know I was being a bit harsh on you, Winger, but you must understand, I'm also getting anxious as well during these hard times. Let's do this then. After this mission is completed, I will grant you one wish that's within my ability to give, and if possible, that said, a flash of murderous intent beams right out of those eyes. Kill Bai Yen if you can, kill her if you get the chance. Ruoxi was very much aware of Winger's strength. If this dog of hers goes in person, he might just be able to do some serious damage to that family. If lucky, he might even assassinate Bai Yen while they aren't aware of what's going on. Pursing his lips into a thin line, the shadowy man gave one last stare to his supposed savior before finally turning away. In the end, he didn't try to persuade her anymore and disappeared into the sky. Not long after this brief encounter, Yun Ruoxi had come before the grumpy keeper. Happy in the face. Keeper Ling, you came right on time, I got wind of Brother Egod's whereabout. Really? A flash of joy filled the old-timer's face, causing his eyes to shine with warmth and kindness. It's true. There's no way Winger would deceive me, so this information must be true. Keeper Ling, I ask you not force the Lord into anything he doesn't want to do. If he wished to stay outside, then please let him, and, that said, she then hung her eyes downward like a dejected maiden. It's fine if he doesn't want me, I don't want to force him into a relationship. But unlike the woman who only has the topic of love in mind, the old-timer opposite to herself didn't have the ear for it. Instead, he only heard the part about Chu Egod being located. Tell me now, I need to go see the Lord. No matter what, I must bring him back to the palace. In that split second, a sinister light flickers within the senior's eye, a total contrast to the delighted face he was making. If I remember correctly, Bai Yen was already pregnant before. If without accident she would have given birth by now. If it's a girl, then that's perfect. If not, then I will make sure she produces another one, and to do that we will need the Lord's help. To trick a child. 3. Demon City's street market? Big brother, I want that. Pointing to the sugar gourd placed along one of the stalls, Di Lingyan could not move her eyes away from the sweet, delectable object that's hovering before herself. However, instead of smiling and happily obliging, Bai Xiachen only showed a frown once he saw the item. Lingyan, be good, those sweets aren't good for you, it will make your teeth rot. Here, I can give you my candy beans. The boy says, trying to keep the girl in good health. Naturally, the candy beans he's referring to are Dan pills concocted by Bai Yen. Puckering up her little lips into an unhappy line. I want the candy there. Big brother, buy me candy? As always, the peachy girl always wins once those tears started to roll. There's no way the boy could refuse. Then only one, no more than that. That said, Bai Xiachen picks up his little sister and went ahead to purchase one sugar gourd. Here, Ling Yen, your candy. Immediately, a burst of delighted giggle comes out of the baby's mouth. But right as the two were about to continue shopping, a small little hand had reached over from the side to grasp at the older boy's robe. Looking down, Bai Xiachen's view was promptly welcomed by Di Jin Tian's baby fat face. Big brother, I also want a sugar gourd, I want to eat too. No, he unmercifully rejects the request. 3 seconds, that's all it took for the little glutton to break out into a crying fit that rocked the sky. I also want sweets. Big brother bought Ling Yen one and won't buy me, wow. I also want to eat sugar gourds. Due to his belief that boys mustn't be pampered, Bai Xiachen simply stood there with an indifference face to the tantrum-throwing kid. But that wasn't to say someone else wouldn't be moved by the scene. Di Lingyan was happily licking away at her own treat when she started to furrow up in the forehead. Here, second brother, you can have some, don't cry no more. Though adamant to give up the delicious stick of candy in her hands, the peachy girl still decides to share in light of knowing what fate lies ahead for the item. But you can't eat it all by yourself. You eat one gourd, then it's my turn. We are sharing, so no hogging everything. But a child would always be a child. The girl made sure to add this part after losing to her own desire. Sure enough, the offer was able to promptly coax the twin boy back to normal. Without a second delay, the little glutton received the stick of sweets from his sister and took a huge bite out of the first one. A luster of happiness could be seen across the kid's face in that moment. Ling Yen is so sensible. Leaning down to give the girl a smooch across the cheek, Bai Xiachen compliments his little sister without a second thought. Giggling at the contact, Big brother, Papa said I cannot let others kiss me along the face. I'm your brother, and we're family, so it doesn't matter. But if someone you don't know tries to kiss you, then you must reject them no matter what, okay? Make sure you remember that. This would be the boy's way of teaching his sister on how to avoid being abducted by other men. It may not be the most effective, but it's one way to educate her from a young age. Blinking in misunderstanding, the girl clearly didn't quite get it yet. Then what about second brother? Can he hug and kiss? To trick a child for, he can hold you but not kiss. A light flashed in the overly protective brother. Oh! Ling Yen nods in a seemingly understanding manner. Though it's contrary to what she really thought, it doesn't stop this girl from believing everything Bai Xiachen says. Meanwhile, on the other end, Di Jin Tian, the little glutton, continues to tear away at the stick of sweets in his hand. For him, the conversation was unimportant and only food remains on his mind in this case. Perhaps maybe in the future, the twin boy would eventually realize he's been conned in so many ways, but by then it's already too late for regrets. Then suddenly, the little glutton who's been preoccupied until smelled something even more delectable. Turning around, his eyes locked onto the fragrant smell coming out of a nearby restaurant. Slowly but surely, he toddles over to the source. Right as soon as he stepped through the door, a hand had caught him by the mouth, dragging him into one corner and out of sight. Highness, don't shout, I won't hurt you, so please calm down. A soft voice came from the back, causing a puzzled look to come out of the boy who saw it was a stranger. My mother doesn't let me speak to strangers. Di Jin Tian says, his lips puckering up in displeasure. He didn't forget what Bai Yen taught him. Strangers are bad, and he needs to be a good little boy. Prince, I'm not a stranger, I'm a maid from the leopard tribe, also someone your father picked to care for your sister and you. The woman's face softens up as she explains, I have a lot of food, so why don't you come with me? Truth was, This maid who's trying to kidnap the gluttonous boy wasn't doing it out of malice, rather she's also under duress. Prior to Mu Shue's escape from the palace, the wretched girl kidnapped this maid's younger brother and threatened to kill him if she doesn't do as that traitor says. Now she had no choice but to carry out this plan. A light blooms out of Jin Tian's eye over the idea of food, which also causes him to drool in kind. But he didn't forget his mother's words either. As a result of that, a tired expression promptly took hold along that face. Moments later, under that anticipating look of the maid, the little glutton shakes his head. Mother won't let me stranger's food. Although he does want to eat it very much, but he much rather not see Bai Yan be unhappy. Like I said, I'm not a stranger. The woman's face went slightly white, rousing a sense of urgency in her voice. Oblivious to the change, Jin Tian continues, but I don't know you. That reply was a huge stickler in the woman's chest, making her want to suffocate from frustration. Didn't Mu Shui say this little prince is very gullible and easy to trick? Why is this guy so hard to persuade then? Getting a bit hard in the face now. Prince, I have been ordered by your mother the queen to take care of you. Come with me and I'll take you to eat something very nice. There are many things you've never tasted before. That tidbit at the end definitely had an effect on the boy's mind. He looks even more tired, but in the end he still turned away for the outside despite how much he wants to stay. My mother said, those who try to lure me with food are bad people. I don't believe you. To trick a child. 5. Falling into a panic as the target leaves her reach, the maid wants to reach out to grab at the little glutton's arm but stopped once she noticed the figure coming over. Jin Tian. Bai Xiachen calls out as he hurriedly chased over with Di Ling Yan in tow. He was very much afraid he might have failed in keeping an eye out for his siblings. But then that fear turned to rage at the sight of the chubby baby's clueless face. Where did you go? Scratching the back of his head in a guilty manner. Just now auntie wanted to take me for dinner, but I... He turns around towards the restaurant lobby, finding only emptiness from the rear aside from the noisy eating sounds of the patrons. This revelation brought a stunned look to the little glutton. Where did the auntie go? Frowning along his face, Bai Xiachen skeptically glances at the lobby as well. What auntie are you referring to? I don't know. How strange, she was just here moments ago. Why did she suddenly disappear? Now tearing up along the face like he's afraid of being called a liar, the little glutton turns to look up at his older brother for help. Big brother, I didn't lie, and auntie was clearly here. Now getting all sinister in the eye upon realizing what's going on, Bai Xiachen once again glances at the inner lobby of the restaurant. I believe you. Jin Tian never lies. In other words, someone was trying to abduct him with food. Otherwise, why else would they run away once they saw us coming over? Big brother, do you really believe I didn't lie? Tugging at the sleeve, Jin Tian asks again with a look that needs reassurance. Rubbing that little head, Jin Tian is not a bad child who lies, so of course I believe you. Besides, with Jin Tian's IQ, he has no ability to lie at his age. Of course, he wouldn't say that last bit aloud and kept it inside. Come, we will go home first in case mother starts getting worried. It wasn't easy for Bai Yan to let them out to play, so he doesn't want to lose the privilege by going missing. Then big brother, when can we go outside to play again? Di Ling Yan asks with her big baby eyes. Taken aback by the question, Bai Xiachen makes a frown along his face. Mother won't let us leave the city. In particular was how they still hasn't located that Mu Shui. Until they are able to confirm that traitor's location and capture her, there's no way he could take these two babies out. Oh, hanging her head dejectedly, the peachy girl sounded disappointed. This place is too boring, it's not as fun as the Sky Mountain. Looking at the three siblings leaving the restaurant, the maid who's been in hiding in the back finally came out. She didn't utter a word, only clenching that fist with a gloom hovering over those eyes. She knows what she's doing would equate to betraying the demon realm, a crime worthy of death. But compared to watching her own younger brother dying at the hands of Mu Shui, she has no choice. The boy's her only family in this world. Don't worry, I'll definitely save you. Even if my fate is damnation at the end, I won't regret it. Just when the maid wanted to turn away to look for another opportunity, a child voice from the rear sent her jerking in shock. In that moment she could say her heart's about to fall out because she immediately recognizes who it was. To trick a child, 6, you're stumbling backwards, her face told everyone that she didn't expect this encounter and in such a surprising manner. Are you my parents' subordinate? Why haven't I seen you before? Stepping forward, Xianxia asks with a much heavier tone that conveyed he's suspicious and on guard. Nearly losing her wits due to the panic swelling inside. Highness, the king has so many demons working under him, how can you know all of us? It's normal for you to not recognize me. That's a logical excuse, which the steam bun didn't refute with a nod. So you wanted to take my brother to eat, is that right? What kind of food did you have in mind, and where? The woman's face grew even paler than mere seconds ago over the obvious interrogation, trying hard to suppress her inner horror. I only heard His Highness likes to eat, that's why I offered to make him a couple of dishes I learned recently. I shouldn't have gotten the idea to get close to His Highness, please forgive me. Plop is taking to the knee, she began to kowtow repeatedly with her forehead making a banging sound upon impact. Looking down with narrowed eyes now, Xianxia doesn't look moved in the slightest at the plea. If you really only wanted to get close to my brother, then why don't you follow me back to the palace? I'm sure my mother will like to meet you in person, how about it? The woman visibly froze in that moment. She couldn't even bring herself to look up anymore due to how scared she felt inside. To see the queen at the palace? I'm not going to come back out alive if I go. If that happens, Mu Shui will definitely kill my younger brother. You're still going to keep lying? Encroaching in a menacing manner now, Xianxia tosses his smiling facade aside to take on a threatening form that dominated the close proximity. Do you know what happens to those who betray my mother? Not only do you get punished, your family and relatives will also be charged in the same way. That comment finally made the woman fluster up, which was promptly caught by the kid. This woman is from the leopard tribe, so she must be related to that Mu Shui in some way if she's trying to abduct Jin Tian. Xianxia thought. I'll ask you one last time, where is Mu Shui? How is she able to avoid being tracked by the palace guards? Gulping in a difficult way, the maid backtracked again into a corner. Highness, I don't know what you're talking about, I've never seen Mu Shui ever since she fled. Not buying that excuse in the slightest, Xianxia starts getting angry in his voice. It seems this conversation is going nowhere. Won't matter though, once I give you to mother and have her deal with you, then I'm sure you will spill everything. Just so you know, my mother has a lot of way to make one talk. For example, going after your loved ones is one of the ways we can go about this issue, don't you agree? The last bit of the threat was a deliberate shot at the maid's side. He's never been one to involve parties that hasn't done anything, but if these demons are going to keep aiming for his younger siblings, then all bets are off. No! The maid finally broke down, allowing the tears to flow like a waterfall. I don't know, I really don't know anything. Mu Shui kidnapped my younger brother when she left the tribe. I'm only doing this because she threatened to kill him if I don't do as she says. Come on their own too, brother. Caught in pain due to the tension along her arm, Ling Yan calls out to the boy who was stuck in deep thought. Coming back to reality and letting his hand go. Oh, I'm sorry Ling Yan, did I hurt you? It's my fault, let me blow it so the pain goes away. Still aching in heartache along those eyes after the childish maneuver, does it hurt still? Shaking her little head over the question, brother blew on it so it doesn't hurt anymore. I'm sorry, I'll pay attention next time. Turning back to the woman who has now confessed, a flicker of cold frost dressed the boy's eye. What's your name? Trembling along the shoulder, I am called Red Leaf. Red Leaf? All right, Red Leaf, where is Mu Shui now? How did she get away from the soldiers at the beginning? I am sorry, Your Highness, I don't have an exact answer to your questions. I only know Mu Shui escaped from the city and is currently in hiding not far from the settlement. Going silent over the lack of crucial information, Xianxia lets the atmosphere in the restaurant grow eerily uncomfortable due to the negative emotions exuding out of his body. He's very unhappy and it showed in his aura. If Mu Shui did not go far, then that proves she didn't team up with the Celestial Palace just yet. I can't let the news of Ling Yan existing reach the ears of those bad people. Biting his lips, where is Mu Shui now? Take me to her. bowing her head. I can't find her, she only gave me a transmission talisman to message her through it, and she told me I am to wait for her at a specified location with the princess. She will then come find me afterwards. That roused a frown along the steambun's face because he wanted to use this chance to lure the traitor out, but it seems that wench was more vigilant than he gave her credit for. Then signal her that you've caught Ling Yan. We will wait for her at the specified spot. That said, a sinister grin drew itself into the boy's face, showing he's got a plan in mind. This Mu Shui needs to be removed, otherwise she will become a scourge down the road. Yes, Your Highness. While nervous and scared inside, Red Leaf also understood this was her only chance at saving her younger brother. She's been exposed, caught, and forced into an arrangement she has no say in it. Whatever happens was going to happen and she knows it. Outside the city, not far away lied a stretch of greenery that made up a valley. This was also where Mu Shui stood, at the peak overlooking the settlement where she's currently wanted on crimes of treason. Before the king clearly wanted to take me as a consort, damn it. If that queen didn't return and used her running away to take the king away, then I would have gotten everything that I wanted. Damn her. Damn her and her children. Inhaling deeply to quench some of that anger surging from within, ready to boil over if she doesn't, Mu Shui recalls back to the scene from that day outside the palace. She had just finished an errand for herself when the wretched girl returned to the main gates. That's where she saw her own mother's body hanging off of a rope at the entrance. Mu Shui was terrified, of course, finding the only family she considered close dead, but more of that worry was about herself and what it meant. Then came the gossiping discussions of the crowds. They were pointing and talking about the picture of the wanted criminal posted along the notice boards. It's her. They had portraits of her own face plastered along every corner, every board, and every street of the city that she's a traitor, a treasonous demon wanted dead or alive. Exactly then, while she was lost in her own thoughts about the predicament she has gotten herself in, Mu Shui suddenly felt a burning sting coming from the palm of her hand. This was the result of the transmission talisman that's currently heating up due to Red Leaf sending a message like planned. Come on their own, 3. A sense of ecstasy filled Mu Shui's heart once she became aware of what the message meant. It's so strong that even her body had started to tremble. Bitch, so what if you trick the king? You will never beat me in the end, ha! She laughed wickedly like a witch that has lost her mind. Once I ascend into the post of being the demon queen, I will deal with you Mu Ying and all the rest that dared to cross me. How dare you betray me and our mother? I will rip out your heart and feed it to the birds. Meanwhile, at the same time, Bai Yan was back in the palace sitting along a bed she arranged inside the garden pavilion when an urgent cry snapped the sleeping woman out of her nap. My queen, this is bad, very bad. A female figure quickly ran over. Still slightly drowsy in the face, Bai Yan turns to make a frown along the face. This individual wasn't someone she's familiar with, so the person didn't hold much of an impression. What's going on? Why are you acting so rashly while inside the palace? The maid's eyes were full of anxiousness like something critical just happened. Just now I saw the little princess being taken away by someone. They should be at the main city gates by now. What should we do, Your Highness? Swish. Getting up in one full motion, Bai Yan's face took on a stern and serious look as she grabbed at the maid's shoulder for further detail. Ling Yan got taken away? Did you inform Di Tsong of this matter yet? I'm going to find him now. Seeing how the desperate mother's about to run to the study, the maid grew antsy and yelled out the only reaction she knew. I will go inform the king. My queen, you should hurry and go save the princess on your own. Originally, Bai Yan had lost her wits due to the story revolving around her children, but that last careless remark instantly sent her into a wary alarm. Holding her steps into a slow pace, she turns around with skeptic eyes. Where's Mu Ying? That's right, I ordered that girl to watch over my daughter at all times, never to leave Ling Yan's side. Why is it this maid that I barely have an impression coming here to tell me this? Something's not right. The maid's face grew more flustered. Mu, she got knocked out during the scuffle, that's why I had to come in her stead. Growing even more skeptical now, Bai Yan didn't miss the flicker of panic avoidance in the maid's eye. All right, you can go inform Di Tsong, I'll go look for Xiachen first. If these people want to drive me away for some reason, then I better find out why. It's time I did some house cleaning in the palace. I can't have these spies constantly running around trying to cause trouble. Yes, Queen. The maid bowed, not daring to make eye contact. What are you standing there for still? Hurry and go. She snapped. Under that oppressive and forceful glare, the maid didn't need any more urging. In a blink of an eye, she was gone and disappeared from view. Once that's done, Bai Yen didn't twaddle around either. Looking in the opposite direction, she headed in the direction of the main gates at incredible speed. It's just that instead of making it far, she ended up running into Mu Ying, who was still holding Ling Yen in her arms not far away. Greetings to your highness. The guardian maid says after placing the princess down. Mother. Running up with glee in those eyes after getting her footing, the peachy princess didn't need any goading to throw herself into Bai Yan's arm, which was warmly received in kind. Come on their own for, Ling Yen, you're all right. Comforted by the sight, Bai Yen caresses the girl's hair and asked, Where's your brothers? Biting her little finger, they followed an auntie and left. Gone. The concerned mother cocked an eyebrow and turned to the guardian maid. Explain, Mu Ying, what is going on? Going slightly pale at the inquiry, the maid knew she better told the truth and all the truth lest she meets the same fate as her own mother. Truth be told though, Mu Ying never wanted to follow through with whatever plan the older prince had in mind. It's risky in her view. Even so, she had no say or right to order someone much higher than herself in the pyramid ladder. My queen, His Highness Prince Xianxia said the Celestial Palace wants to go after the princess. In order to put a stop to that threat, he is intending to remove the threat in person. That's why he's having the second prince impersonate the princess due to their similar figure and face. Right now they should be heading to the prearranged location organized by Mu Shui. After saying that, the maid could feel a noticeable drop in temperature around herself, and the increasingly cold eyes coming her way didn't help either. Mother. It's then Ling Yen speaks up, rubbing her own dreary eyes filled tired fatigue. I am sleepy, I want nappy. It's not intentional, but the girl's crisp childish voice did ease up the demon queen's stern hard face. Here, Mu Ying, take my daughter to her room and let her sleep. I want you by her side at all times, do you understand? I do not want a single person you do not know getting anywhere close to her, and if they do, I believe you understand what I'm saying, right? Yes, I do, Your Highness, I won't fail you. Arching her fist, the almost heroic-looking Mu Ying complies with distinguished determination. Seeing how Mu Ying was ready to take Ling Yen and leave, Bai Yen stops her again after remembering something else. Hold on, since Xianxia wants to use this chance to draw out Mu Shui, then let him, I will follow them from behind. However, I want you to dress Ling Yen up in Xianxia's clothes before you bring her inside the palace. Yes. Mu Ying exhales heavily, relieved that she's not being called to be reprimanded. Then at further thought, something hit her at the realization of what her instructions meant. Why is the queen having me dress the princess up as the prince? Does Mu Shui have other eyes in the palace that we're not aware of? She did not think too much of this though. The issue had gone way beyond her scope of duty. Nodding in compliance, Mu Ying continued to head for the palace without looking back. Not far from the city's premise, Red Leaf had just finished leading Bai Xianxia and Di Jin Tian to the prearranged location she had with Mu Shui. This dark damp place was a cave, a good meeting spot for some dark dealings. Brother, what are we doing here? The little glutton asks, his face puzzled and unsure of what to make of this place. Jin Tian, listen to me. From this point forward, everything that we do are for Ling Yan's sake, so you must follow my instructions, said the steam bun with a stern face. You are a man, a pillar of our family. It's your job to protect your sister and our mother, that's your duty. Glowing in the face over the responsibility, the little glutton felt proud and happy. Yes, big brother, I will protect mother and Ling Yan. I am very, very good. That's right, you are a very good boy. Now don't say anything from this point forward in case they find out you are an imposter. Of one of the main reasons Bai Xianxia would dare to bring Jin Tian out with him for this plan was because the little glutton's a boy, while the Celestial Palace was after a girl. Even if they are discovered somehow, it's unlikely those people would try to kidnap his younger brother. Come on their own, 5. But even so, he's going to do everything in his darnest to protect his younger brother and not let him get hurt in the slightest. He demands himself of this and no less. Firming up in the face, Xianxia suddenly took notice to a strange energy signature that flickered within the vicinity of his hiding spot. The steam bun wanted to locate the source, but it came too fast and went away just as fast, causing a puzzled look along the boy's face. If I'm not wrong, that should be Mu Shue's energy signature, but where is she? Outside the cave, Mu Shue the traitorous girl was indeed hiding in a well-covered spot, her eyes grim and hard while staring into the damp, cavernous cave. She wants to confirm if the child she sees are indeed the princess, which she could vaguely make out from her distance. Of course, the plan was working out perfectly since Jin Tian had his back turned to the evil witch. He and Ling Yan are twins, though different gender and slightly chubby. It won't hinder his ability to impersonate his own sister in this case since he's wearing a dress. Coupling with the fact that Mu Shue's not expecting Red Leaf to betray her, she's quickly letting her guards down and grew conceited. That bitch should be lured away from the palace by now, cackling a sinister grin at the thought. Now's my chance. Giving one final glance at the cave, Mu Shue quickly turned for the palace and disappeared from this valley. After waiting for a while, Jin Tian was beginning to grow increasingly more bored and agitated. He's squirming around looking for something to do, but he always stopped short of moving from his location upon remembering his order. Strange, Xianxia mutters this to himself. Just now I clearly felt it, I'm not wrong. Why is that Mu Shue not coming? Pouting, the boy was also growing increasingly more depressed at his failing plot. Big brother, what's wrong? Toddling over after finding the oddity in his older brother's expression, Jin Tian stretched out his hands to tug at the sleeve. Shaking his head at the concern, it's nothing, I'm only worried that our plan might have been exposed somehow. I wanted to lure Mu Shue out using this occasion and perhaps remove her as well, but she's not coming at all. If we don't succeed here, then those bad people from the Celestial Palace might learn of Ling Yan's existence. By then it will be dangerous for your sister and they might steal her away. The little glutton actually looked stunned, but then that reaction didn't last long because tears swiftly came pouring out of those eyes like a waterfall. Big brother, I don't want Ling Yan to be taken away. Wah, I don't want hick, I won't be greedy and eat so much anymore. I will train hard and grow stronger, then I will protect Ling Yan and not let those bad people hurt us. Knowing he said too much and caused his little brother to start crying, Xianxia quickly reached over with his hand to wipe those tears. Don't worry, I won't let them. They will never lay their hands on Ling Yan. Perhaps the promise was enough, or Jin Tian was just that gullible, but the little glutton did stop crying right away. I believe in Big Brother. He won't lie. Mother! Suddenly, the corner of Xianxia's eyes picked up the familiar red figure and yelled out with surprise in his voice. Mother, how did you get here? Bai Yan didn't reply right away, only scanning the cave and making sure both her sons are all right. When she did so, the woman couldn't be any more relieved. Both of them are her life, her blood. If so much as a scratch come through them, she would feel just as pained and more. You silly, how can you keep this from your own mother? If you want to catch Mu Shue, then there's plenty of ways to do it. Why take such risk? Come on their own, 6. Xianxia hung his head, knowing he didn't think everything through and made a blunder. Mother, this is all my idea. It has nothing to do with Jin Tian and Ling Yan. The steam bun was afraid Bai Yan would blame his younger siblings, so he immediately shouldered the responsibility. Seeing the guilty look coming out of his son's dejected face, Bai Yan couldn't help but sigh. She couldn't be too harsh on him. After all, she also failed in this regard for not protecting them better. Mu Shue tried to lead me out of the palace. I think perhaps going after Ling Yan isn't her only purpose. Puzzlement showed along that little face. Mother, what do you mean by that? Shaking her head, it's nothing, let's go back to the palace first. I can't be at ease with you and your brother staying outside like this, nor do I feel comfortable leaving Ling Yan alone in the palace. Do not leave the city again, do you understand? Her serious tone once again causes the boy to flinch, which made him look even more pathetic in the face. It couldn't be helped, Xianxia really lacked consideration in his little plan. He's lucky it turned out this way with Bai Yan locating them and not something worse. But the little glutton was too young to understand any of this. For Jin Tian, he only saw how their mother was reprimanding his older brother and wanted to help. "Don't scold big brother, please." Jin Tian tugs at the woman's sleeve, his face pitiful and teary, making a smile to comfort her younger son. "Don't be sad, Jin Tian. I'm only teaching your older brother. I'm not angry. I will overlook it this time, but there won't be a second time. Anyways, who allowed you two to leave the city despite my orders to not do so?" Bai Xiaoqin's body visibly stiffened up over that question. "Mother, it's me. I threatened them to let me out, and under my bloodline pressure, they didn't dare to stop me. I snuck out like that. I see, I am at fault too then for being so careless. I thought you kids would be safe as long as you're in the city, but I'm clearly wrong in that regard. Very well, for the time period you kids are to stay in the palace and not allowed to step outside. You're grounded, both you and your younger brother." Bai Xiaoqin almost wanted to cry and plead for mercy. He's going to be bored to death being stuck inside the palace grounds. There's nothing to play with. However, he also knows there's no other way to wiggle out of this situation. After all, he's been caught red-handed and failed as well in his little scheme to catch Mu Shui. The boy has no grounds to stand on. Back over in the main body of the palace, the whole residence has been plunged into chaos due to the princess's supposed disappearance. Since Di Tsang and the elders are in a private meeting, they aren't aware of what's happening and none dared to barge in on their discussion due to prior orders. Then Bai Yan, their queen, wasn't around either, leaving the servants and soldiers without a head to lead them. Nevertheless, that doesn't mean every stretch of the palace grounds were in chaos. The princess's own wing was rather calm right now. Since the day of Mu Shui's betrayal, the care of Ling Yan has fallen entirely on Mu Ying's shoulder. Aside from this guardian maid, none are allowed to step inside this area. "Lord Yuan Pe, should we go inform the king? After all, the princess's disappearance is a big deal." A palace guard asks their head captain with a rather anxious face. Yuan Pe was in charge of security around these parts, so he's not feeling so well either. He's rigid and nervous, knowing what would happen if they don't locate the baby soon. "Keep looking, and send someone out of the palace to search the city. Not only do we need to find the little princess, we also need to find the queen." Wiping the sweat off his forehead, he grits his teeth and snapped out this order. "Then should we go look in the princess's residential wing again? Her Highness might have returned by now." Another guard suggests, hoping that might be the case. "There's no need, I just saw the little prince heading into the princess's quarter to rest. It's best not to scare His Highness with this news, it's bad enough as it is." Yuan Pe mutters this to his subordinates. "Come on their own, 7. The twins are often accompanying each other, so it's not out of place to find Jin Tian resting at Ling Yan's room." Coupling in with the fact that the princess had gone missing, the guard captain simply left it at that. He's not finding this strange or anything and don't want to stir up any more trouble than what's already on his table. Moreover, it was Mu Ying who carried the prince into the room the last he saw, a sure sign for him that it's not a fake on that side. "You bunch keep looking, I'm going to report this to the king." Without another word, Yuan Pe the guard captain rushes for the study where Di Tsang lies. It's unsure if he's just lucky or mere coincidence, but right as he's about to barge through that door, it opened. Reflecting into his eyes were that peerless contour of a man radiating power and dominance. Taking to his knee in a panic, "Sire, it's not good, the princess and queen are both gone." This abrupt news instantly made Di Tsang's complexion go dark. Flashing a flicker of panic, he hurriedly closed his eyes to sense his wife's presence. When he realizes from the contract that Bai Yan was indeed missing and not in the palace, he went white. "She's gone. Why did she leave again? Who is it? Who spoke to my wife and said something stupid again? There's no reason for Bai Yan to leave the city without telling me, unless something else has happened." Yuan Pe timidly continues, "I do not know the exact reasoning, sire. Only that someone told us the little princess is missing and that the queen is gone. Under these circumstances..." Bang. The eyes coming off of Di Tsang radiated a murderous frost that was both violent and unnervingly calm, causing those around this demon king to flinch backwards. All I did was go into a meeting with the elders, and you useless bunch have already managed to anger my wife and make her leave again. Find out who is it that's responsible. I won't forgive that individual. Also, where is my brother-in-law Bai Xiao? Yuan meekly answered, Sir Bai Xiao, he's likely still in the palace somewhere. Bai Xiao is still here? That quickly doused some of the anger in the Demon King because he knows his wife wouldn't leave without her brother if she really did run away. Brother-in-law. Suddenly, a voice came from the front and catches Di Zong's attention. I heard my sister and Ling Yan is gone? Xiaoer, your sister wouldn't have left without a reason. Something must have happened during this period that we're not aware of. Exactly then, when Di Zong wanted to go investigate the matter by going in person, another series of running footsteps catches his attention. Kneeling there, the messenger sounded urgent. Sire, someone is asking for an audience. Narrowing in his eyes, who is it? It's the leopard tribe's Mu Shui. The messenger lowered his head even further until that forehead has touched the ground. She says she knows where the queen and princess is. Instantly a shockwave rocked the study room, sending all of the books flying off the shelves and into the air. Di Zong was very pissed at this moment, and it showed in the power he vented in that second. Bai Xiao, on the other hand, wasn't aware of who this Mu Shui and became perplexed by the strong reaction. Who is this Mu Shui? Why is brother-in-law reacting so strongly? Let her in. Di Zong snaps, his face expressionless and dark. Come on their own, 8. Yes, sire. The guard complies and retreated, only to return not long after with the mentioned traitor in tow. Greetings to your majesty. Shy and flattering along the face, Mu Shui didn't bother to hide her fancy for the Demon King that's currently further ahead. For Bai Xiao, who was standing next to his brother-in-law, the young lad didn't like this leopard girl in the slightest upon first glance. Right now, he only wants to see how Di Zong's going to deal with this person who claimed to know where his sister and niece was. It's obvious to him this Mu Shui was a bad person and meant to do something bad. You claim to know where my wife and daughter is? Di Zong asks with an indifferent voice. This was a test from the man himself. Unlike others, Di Ling Yan wasn't your average child. She too holds a special bond with Di Zong through Bai Yan's blood she inherited. That's why the Demon King's able to verify the girl's whereabouts without needing to check in person. Now all he wants to know was what this Mu Shui's purpose was for coming after trying to evade them for so long. Sire, originally I didn't want to bring this matter to the surface, but I just can't bear to let this continue, knowing how distressed the little princess is. Raising her shy face, the wretched witch attempts to put on a tearful appearance to win some more points in the eyes of the king. The princess is so lovely, it's a real tragedy that she is born with such a horrible mother. The queen actually gave her away to someone else. Boom. In an instant, a gust of wind surges forward from Di Zong's body, causing a rising level of murderous intent in the air. What nonsense are you spouting? Bai Xiao also got angry and roared out his response by punching the girl's gut, which directly sent her flying back as well. I dare you to frame my sister again. A crunching sound could be heard from the lad's clenched fist. I won't let anyone frame her or talk bad about her. Oomph. Coughing a mouthful of blood after crawling back up, Mu Shui felt great in light of the injury she sustained. The very fact that the person was acting so livid brought endless joy to this twisted woman's heart. Everything I said is true, I've seen it with my own eyes. The queen is still a human, of course she would want to side with her own kind from the celestial palace. Seeing the increasingly dark expression coming out of Di Zong's face, Mu Shui's voice also grew much more excited. So, out of concern for the princess's well-being, I followed those people. Without giving her a chance to defend for the second time, Bai Xiao throws another punch with his fist, but this time around it was aimed at the nose. He cracked it, causing a stream of blood to come flying out of those two holes. I'm telling the truth. I saw it with my own eyes. Sire, you need to save me from this madman. I know a way to save the princess. She pleads, finally feeling the pain reach her brain for once. Haha. Bai Xiao couldn't take it anymore and bursts out laughing in an ironic manner. Ling Yan is my sister's daughter, why would she give my niece away to someone else? Explain that? Come on their own, 9. Mu Shui bit her lips. Because those from the celestial palace promised the queen extraordinary benefits, that's why she sold the little princess out to them. If His Majesty doesn't believe me, then you can search the city. I guarantee they won't find the princess anywhere. As long as the little princess is in that place, then these people in the palace will never be able to find her. By then, all I need to do is bring the girl back. My sister sold Ling Yan out? That's my sister's biological daughter. How could my sister sell her own daughter? In this world, no one knows Bai Yan better than Bai Xiao. For example, in order to give birth to Xiaochen, the woman had to endure incredible pain and suffering just to make it to the date of birth. Now to be told his sister would sell out just because of some benefits? How laughable! Di Tsong's eyes were also growing dangerous. Smiling sinisterly, "Oh, then are you able to find my daughter for me? Brother-in-law." Bai Xiao swings his head around, those eyes showing incredulous disbelief. Does he really believe this woman? Doesn't he know my sister's personality? Di Tsong ignored the face he was getting and continued to stare coldly at Mu Shui. As a result of this, the witch actually mistook this as a sign that she's won and revealed a look of joy along that face. "Don't worry, Your Majesty. When I saw the deal between the Queen and the Celestial Palace's spies, I have already ordered my people to go follow the princess from the back." She smugly smirks at no one in particular. "After all, I have long taken the princess as my own since the day you wanted to make me your consort. Even if the queen used her running away to force you to depart for a while, I would never bear to hurt the princess." Boom. But before that smug face could finish all her nonsensical rant, Di Tsong's incredible aura had already come pressing down from above. Next thing the witch knew was her own throat being choked by that powerful hand. "You want to be my consort? Is that why you keep spouting those rumors?" "Maj Majesty." Panic showing now along the face. "I only spoke the truth. You have to believe me." Di Tsong openly grunted there. Forget about whether or not this woman had a plan in mind for coming. He himself knows for certain Di Ling Yan was currently sleeping in her bedchamber. What, kidnapped? Ridiculous. Boom. Slamming the lump of meat in his hand down to the ground in a bang, the outraged father didn't hold back as he dished out the appetizer for the impending punishment. "You think I wouldn't know my own wife compared to someone like you? Moreover, when have I ever said I wanted a consort? Who told you such nonsense?" Sneering in his tone, the man shoots down death glare after death glare. "You..." Mu Shui appears stunned along the face. "Isn't that what you were intending when you picked us out to serve the little princess? How can you determine an unborn baby's gender?" Until now, Mu Shui still remains stubborn on her opinion about Di Tsong trying to take her as a consort, and that it was Bai Yan who ruined her chance by running away and forcing the king to leave. Able to read the thought coming out of this miserable being that only knows how to greed after what doesn't belong to herself, the Demon King did the only thing he felt was right, and that's to stomp down at her puny body. Instantly, Mu Shui had felt it, the cracking sound of her rib breaking, the pain so strong she promptly broke out in cold sweat. The fact that I'm choosing maids to serve my daughter should have been enough to tell I knew beforehand. Just because you fools can't tell doesn't mean I can't. Come on their own, 10. The killing intent coming out of Di Tsong has grown even more intense. "Speak, are you the reason my wife left the palace again this time? I will only give you this once chance, so don't even try to lie. As long as you speak the truth, then I will let you keep your body intact." Pursing her lips into a thin white line, "I did not lie. The queen really did sell the princess out." Those last words didn't even get to finish before Di Tsong once again acted. Using his leg this time, he steps down hard at the girl's chest and makes her spray blood up into the air like a fountain from the mouth. Mu Shui's face went bleakly white as she loses all the energy from her body. She simply doesn't understand why this was happening and why the king wouldn't run off to kill the queen in a fit of rage. Everything was turning out wrong and away from her plan. Then, as if to answer her question of why, a soft melodic voice suddenly cuts in from the front. "Were you talking about me?" Stiffly swinging around, Mu Shui could see the one person she dreaded meeting in this moment. Even worse, there's also 2 children with her, one being 7 to 8 years old, the other still a baby wearing a dress. Just that instead of being a girl, The baby was instead a boy that still had baby fat. Gawking her mouth as the mind went white, Mu Shui couldn't begin to process this reality. What's going on? Why is the little prince wearing a dress similar to the princess's? Why is it so similar to the child's clothing back in the cave? Mother! Exactly then another childish cry breaks in. This time around, it's Mu Ying walking inside with a baby girl in her arms. Ling Yan. Bai Xiao also appeared stunned by this twist of event, staring dumbfoundedly at his own niece who toddled over to her mother. What's going on here, sister? Isn't Ling Yan supposed to be missing? And why are the twins cross-dressing? Oblivious to the stir she herself has caused, Ling Yan only wanted to snuggle her head inside Bai Yan's arms. Mother's scent is the best. I prefer mother's hug more. Ling Yan was tired earlier, so I had Mu Ying take her to rest. As for her clothes, I had them changed as well. That said, Bai Yan then casts her eyes downward at the pale-stricken Mu Shui. I didn't think you would be so dumb to bring yourself to us when we were looking for you. I didn't think you would be so dumb to bring yourself to us when we were looking for you. This sentence wouldn't stop echoing in the witch's head, which directly causes her to tremble profusely, knowing what it meant. It's intentional. Everything is intentional. She deliberately lured me so I would fall into her net on my own. In the end, she's worried I will steal the king's favor. That's why she's doing all this. Biting her lower lip, Mu Shui finally came back to her senses. Even now, this wretched witch refuses to admit everything was her own delusion. Come on their own, 11. You betrayed me. Mu Shui lashes out after finally noticing the timid-faced maid that's been standing there further in the back. It's pointless to keep acting at this point because she knows everything has fallen apart. No wonder now it all makes sense. She betrayed me. This red leaf betrayed me and sold me out to this woman. Ignoring the glares of immeasurable resentment coming out of her brother's kidnapper, Red Leaf comes forward on her own and bangs that head against the floorboard. Sire, I am a criminal and a sinner. Mu Shui kidnapped my younger brother and used him to threaten me, forcing me to kidnap the little princess so that she can have a chance to become your consort. I know my crime cannot be atoned with mere words, but I implore your majesty to save my little brother. He's innocent and have nothing to do with this. I only have him left in my family. The more stressed Red Leaf became, the more the tears came pouring out of those eyes. If at first she didn't know the purpose of Mu Shui wanting to kidnap the little princess, then she definitely knows now after seeing the situation. The witch didn't want to kill the baby girl at all. She wanted to use the child to frame the queen and make the king become enraged. By then Mu Shui would use this opportunity to find a place in the palace and become the next queen, or at minimal a consort. Such a ridiculous plan has no future. Red Leaf could see that. It's a path doomed to failure and only the most insane and senile would dare pursue. Move aside. Giving this order was none other than Bai Yan, who had finished cuddling her own daughter. The demon guards of course responded right away, which they did by spreading into an open line to allow the family to come forward. Do you know that Ling Yan is my daughter, the princess of the demons? Considering what you've tried to do, me ordering you to be skinned alive and beheaded wouldn't be an outstretch of my authority. The second she said that was when she strikes. Boom. Mu Shui couldn't hold back her screams then as the incredible level of pressure came crushing down from above the head. Don't think you're all that, Bai Yan. Gritting her trembling teeth, Mu Shui refuses to yield. You're nothing but a human. If not for the fact that you gave birth to 3 of the king's children, he wouldn't even bat an eyelash at you. Practically yelling now like a mad, crazy fanatic, you have a heart of poison that's polluted with jealousy. The king only wants a consort, yet you used your belly's unborn baby to threaten him by running away. He's a man, and a man deserves to have multiple wives. It's bad enough you won't find consorts for him as your duty requires, now you're interfering with his wish. Bai Xiaoqin's determination. 1. Looking at Mu Shui's madness-filled eyes, Bai Yan takes over and stops her husband's readying attack. Smirking on the face. If you have anything to say, then go ahead and say it now because you won't be able to after your execution. Going crazy with bloodshot eyes, the witch refuses to submit and turns to the other demons. You all see this? She is a human. She is doomed to betray us all. In their eyes, were no more than tools and food to be eaten and used. Do not trust or follow her. She is not qualified to be the queen. The faces of the elders present didn't budge or betray any sign of hesitation, rather they're only looking at this soon-to-be-dead girl with contempt. Stamping down with her feet against Mu Shue's chest to make her shut up. You said I am not qualified to be their queen? Then who is? Breaking out into hysterical laughter, the bloodshot-eyed Mu Shue said the most obvious thing in her mind. Of course I am. If I am the demon queen, then I will help the king take in as many consorts as he wants. I will handle everything in the harem and keep the palace in order. And if he wishes for it, I can also produce as many children as he wants, all more outstanding than the 3 runts you created. I am the perfect queen. In a swift flash of cold metallic glint, Mu Shue's foul tongue was sliced off, letting that filthy lump of meat fall to the ground while the girl herself squirmed in agonizing pain at the lost appendage. Yen, she's too disgusting, I really can't stand it anymore. Di Song murmurs this from behind like an innocent man-child. He knew his wife wanted to get more info out of this filthy witch, but it's just too much for him. Di Song couldn't handle the kind of stuff he's hearing, hence his maneuver to silence that mouth. Visit my site on Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. As if clapped by thunder, Mu Shue's squirming body froze up like a block of ice. Her eyes only had disbelief and pain left in there, like she doesn't deserve any of this. But I have already expressed my feelings to the king, so why is he doing this to me? Batty father, Bai Xiachen inappropriately chimes in with a displeasuring face. This woman said she will make lots of babies with you. Di Song's face went a shade darker over the jab by his son. Her breed can only produce low IQ kinds, she can never be compared with your mother. It frustrates him why everyone keeps saying he wants to take consorts. He's said it many times already, there's no such thing, so why does he always end up in these situations? First elder, Di Song hurries to express his unity, grabbed his wife into a hug. You pass on my word. In this life I will only have children with my one and only wife. If anyone dares to have ulterior motives or spread rumors again, their punishment will be the same as this Mu Shue. Complying by cusping his hand, yes sire, I will make sure everyone in this city and all of the demons under our influence hear about this lesson. Also, should I go gather the females? Slightly cool still in his voice, Di Song's face definitely looked better after that. I've said it before, unless it's related to the celestial realm and its attack plans, everything else is to be decided by my wife. So, you should be directing that question to your queen. It's not a bad idea, you can decide on the details first elder. Bai Yan gives a nod after listening. Bai Xiachen's determination, too. Bai Yan's not afraid of trouble, she's had plenty of that over her lifetime. However, she now has a daughter to worry about. As a mother, she doesn't want Ling Yan to be cornered by enemies from every angle. This time she must make an example. Di Song was of the same opinion and scanned the gathered demons. Back then when I made the announcement, some of you were probably still in the secret domain training, so I won't punish any of you this time. But now I'm going to repeat it just once and never again. All the demons lowered their heads in compliance, their ears perked up in order to not miss a single word. Seemingly pleased by the awaiting quietness, the palace will only have my wife the queen, she is the only female you answer to. As for my children, whether it be now or into the future, it will only be between me and her. I promised her one love for one life, there won't be exceptions to my vow to her, do you all understand? Others may not be able to be loyal to one partner, but he could. Aside from Bai Yan, Li Tong wants no one else. Furthermore, the demon realm has already been given to my wife as part of her bridal gift. The remaining half will be the celestial realm after I conquer it. Everything that once belonged to me now belongs to my wife, your queen. If there's any issue, you should first go to her for clarification. And if there's any argument between me and her, you must heed my wife's order first. Undeniably, Bai Yan felt moved by the speech. She already heard this before, but honestly, she didn't take it too seriously. Now to be brought to the front for all to hear, no woman wouldn't be moved by such a sugary sweet love proclamation. Mu Shui on the other hand didn't fare any better than before, in fact, she's falling into despair. deeper and deeper until her whole body squirmed together into a fetal position. One life, one love, not even father can give mother this vow, let alone be faithful and carry it out. This was it, the witch finally got it. From start to finish, she's been fooling herself. If the king really wants a consort, can the queen really stop him? Even if she used a child to threaten him, wouldn't he be able to produce more with no repercussion? And now, he's giving the entire demon realm to her as a gift? Ha! Chuckling to herself in a self-ridiculing manner, Mu Shui closes her eyes and said nothing more. There's no point. Whatever hope she clung onto has been destroyed. All that's left was for whatever's going to happen. However, that wasn't to say others were just going to let the foolish girl go just like that. Bai Xiachen still had business that's unfinished. Where did you hide Red Leaf's brother? No reply came, only a slight whimpering. I promised her that I would get her brother out, and now you will tell me, where's her brother? If you say then I'll let you meet your end painlessly. Mother said, a man must keep to their promises, and I made a promise to Red Leaf. Then it hit the steam bun as further whimpering came. I forget that you can't open your mouth because you lost your tongue. All right, use your finger and write the answer using your blood. Mu Shui didn't do as the boy ordered, only turning that head around to meet Red Leaf's gaze. Suddenly, a cold chuckle comes off of this crazy witch as those eyes turned madly sharp. Bai Xiachen's determination, 3. Since Red Leaf betrayed me and caused my plan to fail, then there's no reason to not make this woman suffer just like myself. If I go down, then someone else will also go down with me. Thinking up to here, Mu Shui didn't hesitate and moved her blood-stained fingers to write a line along the ground. I didn't take her brother, I merely killed him. She's not stupid enough to really bring a baggage around. What if that baggage exposes her presence? So, after taking the kid out of the city, she killed the boy and buried his remains across multiple locations. Looking at the line of blood letters there, Red Leaf instantly went white as the blood drained from the face. You're lying. Throwing herself at the murderer of her only family, Red Leaf kept screaming and tugging at Mu Shui's collar. You're lying to me. I know you hate me for betraying you, but you can't deceive me. My brother isn't dead, he can't be dead. Tell me where he is now. The murderous witch only snarled, showing off her bloody teeth in the process and conveying her contempt for the other side. I already killed him. Only you are stupid enough to believe me about releasing him afterwards. If you hadn't betrayed me, then I would have sent you along to see your brother by now. Mu Shui writes another line with her own blood. He is dead, and I've scattered his remains across the wilderness. You will never be able to see him again. Afterwards, she started to cackle like a crazy fanatic. Just that instead of actually laughing out, her mouth only made a weird audible gurgle due to the lack of tongue. Red Leaf wanted to pummel the truth out of this girl, but the more she punched Mu Shui, the more she knew it was hopeless. You're lying. You're lying. You must have hidden him, that must be it. Give him back to me, give him back. Mu Ying never showed any reaction from start to end during all this. The only exception was after Mu Shui wrote the bit about killing Red Leaf's brother. According to her own memory, that child has always been kind and smart while they lived at the tribe, a good person all around. It's no wonder Red Leaf would lose her mind like this. How can Mu Shui murder someone so young and in such a ruthless fashion? Mother, Bai Xiachen also felt the pain inside. Gently pursing his own lips, if someone kidnaps Ling Yan and Jin Tian and then killed them, I'm sure I will also lose my mind like her. That kind of loss would bring unbearable pain. No one should have to endure such misery. Understanding why her son was acting this way, Bai Yan reassures him by rubbing the little head before turning to her own brother Bai Xiao. Yes, Xiachen, I understand her. I wouldn't want to experience what she's going through either. Thank goodness nothing happened to Xiao. Bai Xiao of course understood what his sister meant by that remark. He too wouldn't want such grievance to appear along any of his family's face either. Bai Xiachen's determination, 4. After venting her anguish, Red Leaf finally collapsed to the ground, her face sobbing with pain. Initially her quiet weeping only sounded like a whimper, but soon changed to an emotional cry of wanting to change this cruel reality. It's resonating among the crowd because it's too powerful. Yen, let me handle the rest from here. I'm sure you are tired after today's event. Deed's song suggests from one side, not wanting his family to see what's going to happen next. Then turning to the villain of this incident, the Demon King completely loses his warmth that he explicitly saved for his wife. There's only cold hard ruthlessness in those eyes when watching the bruised piece of rag that was Mu Shui right now. Okay. Bai Yen nods after seeing there wasn't much life left in that lump of meat anyways. You lured her here so you clean up after yourself. I'm taking the kids back to rest, they've been scared enough today. With that, the Demon Queen turns to her eldest boy who looked pathetically guilty. Originally, she still had some harsh words for the steam bun after he ran away from the city and attempted that foolhardy plan, but she's his mother. As any mother, they could never be too angry at their own child. Do you understand not to leave the city again? She asks with a lecturing tone. Bai Xiachen immediately nods in a desperate manner like he would never make the mistake again. Then take your brother and sister back to their rooms. Mu Ying, you continue to watch over them. I don't want you by their sides at all times. Yes, Your Highness. Mu Ying respectfully complies, never once giving her younger sister a glance. She knows as well as anyone, Mu Shui's fate was her own doing and couldn't be blamed on anyone else. Shower, come with me. Bai Yen then gives her own brother a meaningful glance. Bai Xiao didn't know exactly what the conversation was going to be about, but he could mostly guess. So, for a split second he hesitated but was inclined to follow anyways. Their family and family shouldn't try to keep things hidden. Sire, what about this woman then? First elder points to the weeping sister who still wouldn't stop crying. Shifting his attention to Red Leaf, Di Tsong continues to show his cold gaze but without the hardness. Tell me the details. Trembling over that dominating voice, Red Leaf gradually managed to hold back her tears enough to give the full story, from how her younger brother got kidnapped, then how the steam bun caught her in the act and of the plan they used in the cave. She said it all. Likewise, Di Tsong's complexion grew darker and darker as well. That rascal always did like to win. If he knew the scheme, then he should have come back to tell us instead of acting on his own. Does he really not trust me, his old man, that much? Sire, from my view this is the prince looking out for you. He doesn't want to bother you with such small things, so he did it himself. Within the higher-ups of the demon realm, no one dislikes the prince, so First Elder's first reaction was to defend the rascal kid, afraid the king would punish the boy somehow. Mu Shui's death, 1. It seems the little rascal has won everyone over while I'm not aware. I might as well make him the king that way if he's so popular, that way the throne is secured. First Elder visibly flinched as his mouth twitched at the jab. It's no secret to this old-timer that Bai Xiachen doesn't want to rule over the demon realm, otherwise why else would Ditong say that? Taking a few steps back, this? His Highness won't let me go if he finds out I'm the cause. It's not a problem to side with Xiachen in front of me, but remember who is really in charge of the demon realm right now. Di Tsong sourly states this, not willing to lose face despite being a wife's slave. Wiping some of the sweat off his forehead, First Elder felt troubled and caught in a bind. Of course, Your Majesty, I will only side with you in the future and not the prince. I will especially side with you when the queen gets involved. However, instead of getting happy and lighting up, Di Tsong's mood only grew dimmer. It seems my words never got through to your head. Whether it is Xiachen or me, everyone must side with my wife when caught in an argument. If my wife says one, then you can't say two, do you understand? In short, he's allowed to lecture the boy if Bai Yan's not involved, otherwise they must support whatever the Demon Queen says if she does. Almost wanting to roll his old eyes at the contradicting order now, First Elder wanted to facepalm himself. Yes, of course, Your Majesty. Only then did the Demon King remove his gaze from the troubled senior. Mu Shui, who's been lifelessly lying on the ground, didn't miss that proclamation, of course. This was equivalent to a second punch in her gut, making the girl puke blood due to the unwilling frustration she felt. Red Leaf, on the other hand, remained silent to one side. She's also feeling guilty and complex inside. If she had known Bai Yen would be this favored before the king, then the woman would have long come to report Mu Shui's crime and scheme. Now the damage has been, and she could never repair what has been done, nor could she revive her own dead brother as a result. I'm partly responsible for my little brother's death, I'm at fault too. Understanding this much, the pained older sister closed her eyes and placed all the guilt on herself. However, the cold gaze coming out of Di Tsong instantly brought her back to reality and the situation she was still in. Although you were forced by Mu Shui to do what you did, it doesn't change the fact that you conspired to harm the royal family. For that, I won't forgive you. I understand, Your Majesty, I know what to do. Showing a bitter smile, Red Leaf didn't mind dying today. She's already lost the only family she had left in this world. What point was there to keep living? All right, Di Tsong then shifts his gaze over to the lump of meat nearby, but as an act of mercy from me, I will give you one last chance to get revenge for your family. No matter what you do to this traitor of the leopard tribe, I won't intervene. An inexplicable light burst forward from Red Leaf's eye then. She couldn't stop her body from trembling because this was exactly what she wanted right now. Before she only beat Mu Shui to a pulp, not go for her life. Now she's gotten permission. The king is willing to give me this chance? I will make this vile witch pay for what she did to my brother. I will let her know what it means to suffer. Mu Shui's death, too. Thank you for gracing me with this opportunity, Your Majesty. Kneeling there, Red Leaf felt genuinely thankful for this chance to exact her suffering on the one responsible. So what if the king doesn't intend to forgive me? I only wanted my brother back when I made the deal with the prince. Now that the goal is gone, this is the best I can ask for. I don't want to live anyways without my younger brother with me. 5 days, I'll give you 5 days to torture her as you please. Afterwards, you are to do the deed on your own. I won't send my subordinates to check on you. After dropping this sentence, Di Tsong didn't turn back and brushed past the lady. Standing up to show a look of pure hatred, Red Leaf didn't get swayed by the implication of that sentence. Di Tsong was saying she could flee afterwards if she liked, but that's a pointless gesture of mercy on his part really because she had no intention to continue living. Mu Shui, you killed my brother. Why did you kill him? A flash of panic flickered in Mu Shui's eyes. Making a whimpering sound, the witch attempts to crawl backwards as fear takes hold along that face. To be clear, this vile being wasn't afraid of dying at this point, that's the least of her concern. What she's afraid of was not being able to die for the next 5 days. She doesn't even want to begin to imagine the sort of torture that's coming. Graghai. She tries to speak out and beg for mercy, but all that came out was an indistinguishable garble of nonsense from Mu Shui's mouth. But then again, Red Leaf wouldn't have cared either way regardless of what she said. Coming closer and closer, this lady looked dreadfully dark and scary as her expression becomes twisted and evil at the thought of what she could do. It doesn't matter if you can't talk, I still have 5 days. In these 5 days, I will make sure you understand what it means to suffer a horror that's worse than death. I know you will like what I have in store for you. Somewhere else in the palace that much quieter and less rowdy. Sister, is there something else you need to say to me? Bai Xiao eventually couldn't hold back his impatience and asked. Stalling there, Bai Yen slowly turns around. Xiao, do you have anything to tell me? Lowering his eyes in a contemplative manner, the boy appears hesitant. Sister, I want to protect you like back when we were in the Lu Hua kingdom. I want to be your shield like before. Even if I have to pay a much higher price, I don't care, I will protect her. I don't know what you've been through after we separated, but you need to understand, I'm no longer the weak and frail girl from back then. If anyone should be protecting anyone, it should be me protecting you as the older sister. Taking a step forward, Bai Yen grasps onto the young man's shoulder to reveal a firm look along the face. Sister, I will protect myself, I won't make you sad. For you, I will protect myself and not let you endure that kind of suffering like today. Bai Yen knew her persuasion likely wouldn't work knowing how stubborn this brother of hers could be. Even so, she couldn't just say nothing and not try after what she witnessed. No matter how much this lad grows, he would always be the same kind and warm person that he was back then. Bai Yan's opinion of that would never change. Mu Shui's death, 3. Alright, if you don't want to stay then I won't force you. I believe you will one day be able to break free like a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. Radiating a glow in those eyes, Bai Yan's tone was firm and strong. Sister. Bai Xiao brings her into a hug, letting his body to show off his emotions right now. In this life am I blessed to be your brother. That comment made the woman go stiff due to how touching it was. Do you still blame me for what I did back then? For not bringing you with me when I left alone? Showing a bittersweet face. You are my most important person in this world. How can I bear to blame you? I never blamed you, I only felt hurt inside for you. You were pregnant, alone and wandering out there by yourself. My only regret is not being able to be there with you during those difficult times. If I had been there, I can at least help protect you and look after you in some way. Pausing to reel in some of the emotions that's quickly swelling out from his eye. Sister, although we had a bad life in the Bai household, but you didn't suffer too much pain under that vile woman's hand. Sure, we couldn't eat well or dress well, but you were always able to avoid any pain. Then, as if remembering the times where it's only the two of them trying hard to make it through each day without starvation, Bai Zhao's voice suddenly firms up. After you left, I was worried sick about you. I kept wondering if you were going to freeze to death or die of hunger by yourself. I can't even fathom enduring the harshness of the wild by yourself. You were so timid and small, unable to bear any scare. I felt so useless knowing I've allowed you to be placed in that situation. That's right, one of the driving forces behind this young man's desire to grow strong was partially a sense of guilt. He's still unable to get past the fact he couldn't protect Bai Yan back then and allowed her to go through all those hardships alone. I know you want me to stay with you, but you have too many enemies. What if I become your baggage, what then? I want to stand by your side and become your shield, your protective wing, not someone that hides behind you and couldn't do anything when the danger comes. Bai Yan couldn't say she wasn't affected by what she's heard. When she moved her jaw to speak, no words came in that moment, only a momentary silence hanging in the air. But that state didn't last long once she realizes her own awkward state. Shower, this life, I owe you too much. You do not owe me anything, sister. I didn't know better back then, but after learning the details of why you ran, I knew you didn't have a choice. You were barely able to escape on your own. How could you come back to retrieve me when the situation was so critical? Bai Xiao was no fool, he's very smart and intelligent. If Bai Yan did return after escaping at first, then those people would have placed a net around the estate and recaptured his sister that night. Xiao, thank you. She raises her hand and brought her younger brother into a heavy hug. Thank you for staying with me. No matter if we're poor or rich, I will never abandon you. Smiling at those words, Bai Xiao felt the same. Sister, sometimes I really wonder if I'm indebted to you in my previous life or something. That's why fate is pushing me to use this life to stay by you and always stand with you. For you, I will forsake the world. All right. I'll wait for you to come back. No matter when that is, this will always be your home. Bai Yan says, her eyes longing and hopeful. As long as the place has me, it will always be your home. In a cloud-covered valley some distance away, Chu Yifeng was standing there with a gloom across his face while confronting someone that's of similar appearance. This individual had a similar air, but was more surreal and indifferent to the things around him. That stranger was Chu Yigod, a man that has time and time again saved Bai Yan in the past. You stay away from Yenner and her son. The young lord of the Holy Land demands with a tone that's lacking in temperature. The man opposite of him smiled. Don't forget why you exists in this world. You're not qualified to interfere with my business. Making a crunching sound as his fist clenched into a ball, Chu Yifeng clearly appeared frustrated. Yenner is someone I will protect with my life. I won't allow anyone to hurt her, even you. Apparently that proclamation had a stinging effect on Chu Yigod, which made his expression grow faintly sad from the surface. If back then I was as firm as you, would she have left me? Unfortunately, he made a mistake, a huge one at that, causing him to lose the one woman he loves. I know you are aware of a lot of things already, but she doesn't remember anything still. When she does though, she will undoubtedly hate me and blame you. Chu Yigod's expression suddenly grows heavier. Even so, are you still going to stand by her like always? You are you, I am I, don't compare me with you. Chu Yifeng's voice sounded borderline apathetic there. Perhaps only matters related to Bai Yen would be able to stir the feelings inside this man. Everything simply doesn't rouse a reaction, the young lord of the Holy Land. You should know that we are— Shut up. Not waiting for Chu Igad to finish his sentence, the younger one cuts him off. What you do has nothing to do with me. Yenner is the one I've chosen to protect with my all. You and I are not the same. This person would forsake Yenner for the world, while I will forsake the world for her. Chu Igad is not me, and I will never be him. Not getting angry at all, the Celestial Lord actually smiled there. I hope you can be like that and never change in your decision. The mistake I made can never be redeemed, so I hope you won't go down the same path I did. Chu Yifeng openly sneered at the slightest hint of that possibility. You care about too many people. The Celestial Palace, the world, and those that you don't even know, you forsake her for them. Know this, I won't do that, I won't go down that path, so you can rest on that idea. What does the survival of this world have to do with me? As long as Yenner can live a safe and happy life, they mean nothing. For you, I will forsake the world, too. Is this all you have to say after coming to find me? After a long silence, Chu Igad once again spoke, his appearance returning to the indifferent attitude he has towards the world. I only want an answer to one question. Why did you deceive Yenner? Why did you put Xianxia and her in danger? You know the Sky Fox's blood can't remove that darkness in the boy. Smiling bitterly along the face now, the Celestial Lord almost appeared emotional there for a split second. I did it for her sake. That grudge inside the boy is too heavy. Sooner or later it will undoubtedly harm her, not to mention it's the only way to allow Xianxia to grow faster. Only when the boy grows stronger will he be able to protect her safety. Boom. Chu Yifeng disappears in a flash, reappearing directly behind his counterpart in the next. However, instead of actually making contact with his attack, the surreal and indifferent Celestial Lord disappears from the spot, only to come back into existence atop of a hilly cliff not far away. You're not my match, so let's stop this. Chu Igad says with a hint of humor. Stopping in his action, Chu Yifeng snapped back. If you really care for Yenner, then you should be discussing things with her, not deceiving her. Do you know how much you will hurt her this way? Yenner is good in many ways, but she's too emotional when doing things. I don't want her to experience danger, the Celestial Lord counters. He also knew lying to Bai Yen would make her hate him, but the man would rather she hate him than allow her to be in danger. So, for the one person he cares about in this whole wide world, Chu Igad would rather she hate him if that's a must. Chu Yifeng's face grew increasingly colder after hearing that, raising up a storm around himself in the process. Not deceiving her is being respectful. It's no wonder she abandoned you in the previous life. On this point alone Ditsong was superior to Chi Igad. At the very least, the Demon King respects the opposite sex and listens to their demands, while this supposed savior of the celestial realm wouldn't show an ounce of respect to those he cares for. The Celestial Lord's perennially indifferent and cold face finally cracked under that insult. Showing an almost angered expression, his eyes grew hard. I don't need you telling me what I did wrong. I know I wronged her, that's why she left me, otherwise, we would have been married a long time ago. Closing his eyes, Chu Igad's expression showed pain and regretful look. It was I who pushed her away, and it was I who nearly destroyed her. Even without that event, she still wouldn't have married you. You're not just a little bit inferior to Ditsong, but a lot more. The implication of that was Bai Yen would never be his even without that incident. Sure enough, Chu Igad felt like his heart's been pierced by multiple swords in that moment, causing him to bleed in pain at the soul level. He knows what Chu Yifeng said there was the truth. It's just that he's never been able to admit to that fact until now when his counterpart finally poked through the thin layer of bubble he's been hiding behind. Back then Bai Yen was always well-behaved and sensible, only before Ditsong did she ever act out and show her true personality. For that reason alone, Chu Igad knew the relationship between the two weren't the same as his own. It's very special, to the point where he, the ruler of the celestial realm, had to resort to trickery of a young lady for marriage. For you, I will forsake the world. 3. You don't have to continue. Somewhat pale along the face now after having all his greatest sins brought to the open, Chu Yi God reveals a saddened face. She hates me to the bone, so of course she won't accept me. However, you can't marry her either. After all, we are in essence the same person. Chu Yifeng's attitude got even colder once the topic got shifted to the one thing he hated about his own existence. I already said it, I'm not you. I will give her respect that she deserves, unlike you who only looks to her as an object to be used to your own liking. As long as she's happy, then I'm willing to accompany her as a brother for the rest of her life. Can you do that? A visible tremor shook the celestial lord in that moment. Can I do that? If I could do that in the past, then she might not have left me for him. She wouldn't have been forced away by me, nor would her fate end up so miserable because of I. She's suffered so much, and now she's finally gotten happiness. I won't let anyone destroy that, not you and not those who wish her harm. If you dare hurt her and try in any manner that I can find. Growing firm across the face, the young lord of the Holy Land sounded tenaciously scary then, something he's never done in his entire life. I will suicide with you if I must. He owed her for the previous life, so he must use this one to repay that debt, even if that means the exhaustion of this one. For a while, the celestial lord actually fell into a momentary trance under Chu Yifeng's unquestionable glare. Would she have changed her mind and be with me if I was as firm as he was? You better watch yourself and not let me find you near her again. Chu Yifeng gives a final warning before turning away. To this new incarnation of the same person, the newer one found his former self absolutely repulsive. Merely being here for this long was a test of endurance already, because it reminds of him all the things that happened in the past. Not long after the young man left, another presence appears, causing the celestial lord to frown even further across the face. Lord! Calling out was Keeper Ling, who had just arrived on the scene. His old eyes were full of excitement. I finally found you. Are my orders pointless to you people? Who allowed you to move again, Yener? Showing a frown as well now. Lord, this is not our decision, we're also without choice in this matter. The demon realm has attacked us and our people. Do you really want the entire celestial realm overturned because of one woman? Letting the frown fade away, Chu Yi God returns to the surreal temperament that he always carried. So what? This is what the world owes her. Shocked with surprise along his old face, the grumpy-tempered keeper almost couldn't believe his own ears. Is this the same celestial lord from back then? The one from back then would never say something so damnable. For you, I will forsake the world. For, Lord, said the grumpy keeper with a hint of hesitation, there's something I need to ask of you for my coming. Speak it then, don't waste my time. Sounding impatient, Chu Yi God unkindly orders. The matter is like this. Ruoxi's body has been injured for many years, so we've been searching for a way to help treat her. Now we found it. Oh, that's a good thing. I have no objection, so you can go ahead with the idea. Why are you reporting this to me? Chu Yi God speaks in a way that it's confounding to even bring up the subject with him. Keeper Ling visibly gawked, like it's ridiculous to hear that sort of reply. What's wrong with the Lord? How can he react so wantonly? Ruoxi's treatment should be the utmost importance right now, with the calamity drawing so close. Let me explain, Lord. If we want to treat Ruoxi's injury from back then, we will need your help. Keeper Ling's expression then turned a darker shade of hostility. We need the blood of a fox, a young one and a female one at that. Only the purest of the foxes can it work. If only the grumpy keeper paid a little more attention to the foe opposite to himself, then he would definitely realize the sharpening gaze around Chu Yi God's face. You mean you want me to go to the demon realm and demand Yenner's child? Just like 1,000 years ago? 1,000 years ago, I personally went out to capture Bai Yen and then thrust her into the depths of hell by burning her at the altar. I committed the greatest sin, a sin so great I could never hope to redeem. Now these people want me to repeat that same crime and hurt the one woman I love a second time? Ha! Unable to pick up the underlying tone there, Keeper Ling continues with respect in his voice. Yes, Lord, we are hoping you can personally go make a demand to Bai Yen and have her hand over a daughter. As long as Di Tsang and Bai Yen cooperates with our plan, We in the Celestial Palace are willing to spare the demon realm after the calamity comes to pass. In that second, Chu Yi God actually chuckled satirically. Do you also want the demon realm to be grateful to you as well for sparing them? This time not even the dense Keeper Ling could miss the taunting attitude from the other side. Showing a puzzled look along his old face, Lord? 8,000 years ago I thought the celestial realm and its denizens are the most important to me, but I discovered that's not true. In this world, the most important thing to me is her. Only after she left me did I realize that fact. She could have been my wife, but I pushed her into the belly of despair with my own 2 hands to allow someone else to yank her back out. For that mistake I lost her forever. Pausing to meet the old keeper's gaze, Chu Yi God appeared self-mocking now. I couldn't accept it back then. She was supposed to be mine, but I gave her away to someone else with my own action. Then I went after her out of my own selfish greed, pursued her and hunted her until I pushed her to death. Finally closing his eyes, the Celestial Lord recalls back to the scene where he saw her die in the arms of his love rival. Only then did the pain he felt in that moment come surging forward. It's stinging like a sharp thorn that continues to constrict around his heart at all times. Her child is her life, and if I kill her child then it would be me killing her a second time. You expect me to commit that same mistake a second time? Is that what you are asking of me? For the first time ever, Keeper Ling finally got a clearer look at the Celestial Lord and what has become of a man that once held the world in the highest regard. He's no longer the Lord. This person, he's not the Chu Yi God from a millennium ago. But Lord, are you going to abandon the rest of the world for the sake of a single woman? How can you do that? Shaking across his shoulder due to the surging frustrated anger inside, Keeper Ling couldn't keep his calm and yelled out the question. 8,000 years ago I gave her up for the sake of the celestial realm, now I will forsake the world for her. She will never suffer at my hands again. The Celestial Lord states this with firmness along that faint smile. The proud little glutton, one. That outlandish and incredible proclamation from Chu Yi God absolutely horrified Keeper Ling. Every word from the mouth was like a hammer, pounding away at the old elder's heart until it became a messy mush. Celestial Lord, your words are too irresponsible. Do you think the life of all inside the celestial realm is nothing or something? Losing all the respect he had in the past, Keeper Ling yells out his words while making a crunching sound with his fist. What's more, Ruo, she waited 1,000 years for you, yet you keep hurting her heart by leaving her behind. That finally drew a frown across the Celestial Lord's face. One day you will understand what you are missing. Ruo, she is an amazing lady, far kinder than that ruthless Bai Yen. This world needs such a kind person, and you will one day regret your decision of not picking her over someone so vile. In fact, Keeper Ling found it absolutely abhorrent to even compare the two. One was heaven and pristine, the other vile and disgusting to the core. Keeper Ling, if you find Ruo Shi to be so amazing, then why don't you marry her? That way she will have someone. Chu Yi God did not argue, only giving this indifferent suggestion that left the old-timer crushed. Trembling across the shoulder like a rabid animal, what are you implying by that, Celestial Lord? Since you find her to be the most amazing female in this world, and that it will be my greatest regret for not choosing her, then why don't you marry her then? Though the age gap difference between you and her is a bit large, but I'm sure it won't be an issue. I believe Roshi wouldn't mind. Though the Celestial Lord said it with such a frank smile, his tone couldn't be mistaken, it's cold and mocking. Trembling even harder now along the shoulders. Don't forget who it was that pushed you up into that position. Just because your wings have grown harder, you're now ignoring us who supported you? Obedience and respect goes both ways. If Chu Yi God wouldn't help them and be useful to the Celestial Palace, then Keeper Ling had no reason to continue this relationship with the other man. Heck, if Yun Ruo Shi still had the ability to grow, this grumpy keeper would have likely turned his back on Chu Yi God years ago. Why would he bother with someone that's deserted them for a millennium? Huffing a faint grunt, the Celestial Lord said the one thing he wanted to say for a long time now. Then we are of the same mind. I regret ever taking up this position as the Celestial Lord. That way I wouldn't have had to shoulder such heavy responsibilities and hurt my most important person. You. Keeper Ling flew into a rage and pointed accusingly at the other man. You only lost a single woman, a vile and wretched one at that. How can you desert the rest of the world for the sake of someone so undeserving? That reprimand drew a narrowed look from Chu Egod. That's right, it's a woman that caused me to lose my sanity. You'll never understand the pain I suffered because of what I did back then. As for why I left the Celestial Palace and kept a grudge against you all, do you really not know, or are you just acting ignorant, Keeper Ling? The proud little glutton too. Chu Egod slowly approached the grumpy keeper. What did you promise me first? You clearly said you will only imprison her if I help secure the safety of the celestial realm. I believed you and moved against my one and only love. But you went after her life. Does these people really not understand why I resent them? How ridiculous. They actually think I will still help them deal with Yenner. Showing an ironic smile aimed at no one but himself, Chu Egod shakes his own head to remove some of the bitterness in his heart. I got the world in my mind, that's true, but I would never want her to die for that. Even if it's a life of imprisonment or a loss of memory, it's still better than what happened back then. Keeper Ling couldn't utter a word under that blaming gaze. It's true, they did lie to their liege, just that they never thought his feelings for her would go that deep, so they never thought anything of it. Celestial Lord, fumbling for a word, the old grumpy elder instinctively takes a step back at that forceful stare. I had no other choice back then. By Yan's existence. Her existence will endanger the entire celestial realm. Only when she's dead will I be at ease. Openly sneering at the shamelessness of this old man, Chu Egod loses usual cool air and becomes more humanistic. It's pointless to keep talking. I will not help you hurt her, and if you push me, I might do something you will regret. Shock and fear gripped Keeper Ling like a haunted ghost would when strangling its victim. He couldn't accept this. It's one thing to be unable to get the Celestial Lord's help, but to be threatened with retaliation if they moved against Bai Yen was unimaginable. After a long while of this awkward silence, the old-timer knew he was finished here. Turning around, he ran for the bottom of this mountain without looking back like someone that was fleeing. Unbeknownst to the grumpy keeper though, Chu Egod wasn't entirely unaffected by what he himself said there. In fact, the Celestial Lord's expression would grow heavier at each step until a bitter and helpless smile took hold. I won't make the same mistake again, I won't. It was that one wrong step that ruined my happiness. I can't let it happen again, not like that. I will forsake the world if I must, if it means you can gain happiness, Yenner. I will never make that stupid blunder, not unless my soul be thrust into the depths of hell and burned for all eternity. Slowly but surely, Chu Egod's small murmuring laugh evolves into a hysterical fit that made him lose all of the surreal air that should be unique to this man. But I won't give up on you, not this time. Whatever happiness Di Tsong can give you, I can too. I'm going to pursue you again, and I won't fail you, not ever again. In the end, the Celestial Lord still believes he has a chance to win over Bai Yan's heart. In light of all he's done, in light of him indirectly murdering Bai Yan, in light of him causing her child's death, he still believes he has a chance. If this wasn't selfish greed, then what was? The proud little glutton. 3. At the same time outside the demon city, a black figure had just arrived outside the main gates to the settlement when the defending soldiers noticed this unexpected guest. Hold. Identity yourself. I heard the demon city is recruiting demunkins. I'm here to join at the news. Hoarse in his voice, the black-robed stranger answers without delay. This causes a series of looks between the defenders. Even so, this wasn't nearly enough to warrant free passage into the city. Cocking up a brow warily, one of the more outspoken soldiers steps forward. Before you enter the city, we must confirm you are who you say. Stay there while we conduct the examination. Unlike other places, the demon city are indeed willing to shelter demons that are weak and helpless, but that doesn't mean they would just let in any random individual who decides to stroll onto their premise. Slightly displeased in his voice now, the black figure promptly inquires for more details. How long will the review take? You can't expect me to stand around without limit, right? That depends entirely on you. First revert back to your true form and let us have a look to confirm your background. The demon guard states, his voice getting all unfriendly due to the retort. The demand wasn't unreasonable, so the stranger didn't offer any resistance. Taking a step back, he becomes enveloped in a globe of black light before taking on a form of a huge black bird that resembled more of a dinosaur than an actual feathered bird. You are a Pterodactyl crow? The exclaiming demon soldier gawks, his eyes popping out. Of the many bird branches out there, the Pterodactyl crow family was thought to be long extinct. To be meeting one today definitely left the defenders shocked and surprised. I must report this to the king. If this guy's identity turns out fine, then it will be a huge boon to our forces. Reverting back to his human form, is there any more questions? You are indeed a demon like us and not a human imposter. The guard nods. What's your name? Winger. Winger? I need to first report your arrival to the king and then have him decide on your placement. Come back in 3 days, you will have your answer then. That said, the outspoken demon soldier arches his fist in respect, losing any of the unfriendly tone he had earlier. Thanks. Faintly nodding, Winger had no objection to this idea and turned away. Boss, do we really need to make the examination this rigorous and tedious? That person is definitely one of us, and I don't believe our kind would ever want to work with the enemies from the celestial realm. This is not my decision. I can't help it either because the king personally passed this order down. Did you forget what happened with the prince before? We allowed His Highness to leave on his own, and that angered His Majesty a lot. If we make another mistake, then I fear our necks would be on the chopping blocks. You have no idea how much the king loves the queen and how much the queen loves the prince. The prince? Winger stops again after overhearing their conversation. The proud little glutton, for Ruashi said so. If the demon realm has a little princess, then she wouldn't be allowed to live, but if they only have a prince, then he won't have to kill an innocent child. That's why Winger felt so relieved to hear the news that Bai Yen gave birth to a son. The demon soldiers naturally didn't know what was running through Winger's head, of course. After the stranger left, one of them hurried to the palace to make this report. But because Di Tsung wasn't around at the time, the messenger could only forward the news to First Elder, who was next in charge. Unexpectedly, though, Dragon Flame had been walking through this area and caught sight of the happy-looking soldier, thus allowing him to intercept the message as well. What did you say? A member of the Pterodactyl crow family? Dragon Flame asks with a hint of surprise. Lord Dragon Flame, he is indeed a Pterodactyl crow. I can recognize him through what I've seen in the ancient books. There is no mistake. A sense of joy filled the old goat's face then. Are you sure there's no mistake? Fine, take me to him now. I want to meet his boy. His family's elder and I used to have a good relationship. To think that old boy still had some descendants around, what a wonderful news. This? The guard grew hesitant in his voice. Lord Dragon Flame, I'm afraid that won't be possible. That person already left because I told him to come back in 3 days. Frowning along his old face, All right, I will wait for him at the main gates then in 3 days. If any of you see him again, then you must come find me. I need to confirm his identity myself. If he really is who he claims, then I must have him stay here with me. Unlike some of the inferior demon races that roam this world today, the dragons and Pterodactyl crow family are both special in a way that they are duty-bound to protect the demon king. Shame though, Dragon Flame was doomed to not meet Winger. The assassin's purpose in coming was to confirm if Bai Yen gave birth to a prince or princess. Now that he's made sure it's a boy, he had no other purpose in returning and left confidently. But that wasn't to say this matter would go unnoticed. Bai Yen did eventually learn of Winger's arrival, and her initial reaction was a flash of stupor along the face. She's trying to remember something, an incident far into the past, but that flicker of memory couldn't be caught and escaped her like a fleeting image. Mother! The little glutton climbs up from the stool next to the lady and wrapped himself around her tummy to get a good hug in. You did not go with your big brother and sister to play? Bai Yen asks with a motherly smile. Hanging that little head like he's been wronged. Mother, am I not cute, or did I do something bad? Why do you ask this question? Of course my Jin Tian is lovely and good. raising his head to meet his gaze with hers. Then why do Big Brother always treat Ling Yan better? He carries her when she's tired, feed her when she's hungry, and gives her a kiss when she asks for one? The proud little glutton 5. That's why Jin Tian felt so unhappy right now. He's finding it unfair Bai Xiachen would always cuddle his sister while not cuddling him too. Bai Yan breaks out into a giggle. My precious Jin Tian really have grown up, you know how to be jealous of your own sister. Xiachen doesn't dislike you, he only thinks that you should be more independent since you're a boy. He also loves you just as much as your sister. Really? The little glutton tilts his head to the side in an innocent manner. Big Brother said he will teach me how to fight when I'm 3, but I want to learn now, I want to protect mother and sister. Alright, I'll speak to Xiachen about this and have him teach you earlier. Slightly humored by her boy's behavior, Ling Yan is your sister, so your responsibility is the same as your older brother, you must protect her. The little glutton nodded his head in heavy strides. Big Brother said I am a man, so I will protect my sister. Any boy who wants to abduct my sister will feel the pain of me breaking their legs. In saying so, Jin Tian's expression grew incredibly proud, which in kind only causes his mother to get black lines running across her face. Who taught you that? Big Brother did. He said all boys that want to get close to Ling Yan are coming with bad intentions, so I must break their legs. They will swindle her away. His family's Ling Yan is so lovely, so there must be a lot of bad people who wants to kidnap her. I must be strong and powerful. Only then can I protect her from anyone who wants to take advantage. Twitching along the mouth, Bai Yan wanted to facepalm herself. What did Xiachen teach his brother? How did Jin Tian become so possessive and violent? You can't think like that, Jin Tian. Your sister Ling Yan will need to marry someday. You only need to pay closer attention when observing. Bai Yan's very much willing to care for her daughter for a lifetime, but that doesn't mean she doesn't want the girl to find happiness. What is marry? Can I eat it? The little glutton asks this with a clueless and naive face. Knowing her words are too mature for the baby, Bai Yan lifts the child up to her lap for explanation. Marriage is when a woman and man makes a vow to share their future together. Just like me and your father, your sister will one day need to find her lifelong partner and follow him. Biting his little finger. But Big Brother and I will love and care for her too. Why do Ling Yan have to leave and follow someone else? Mother, I don't want Ling Yan to leave us. Perhaps the thought of his twin sister leaving him had roused some unwanted emotions, but Jin Tian's eyes had started to swell red from anxiousness and made him get all teary. But right before Bai Yan could soothe her baby and explain some more, Bai Yan's attention was suddenly dragged away by the frantic-looking steam bun that barged into the room. Mother, mother. Bai Xiachen cries out, his face anxious and hurried. The proud little glutton 6. What's wrong, Xiachen? Bai Yan quickly asks after seeing how pale her boy was looking. I don't know, mother. The steam bun grips his own clothes around the chest area. Just now I felt a sense of panic within my heart. I'm afraid something might have happened to those I know. Maybe Dragoni? Or Little Rice or Tsing? Little Rice and Tsing Yi should have been back by now. Did something happen while they were outside? And Dragoni? Although to Bai Xiachen the girl wasn't his biological family, but the boy already felt like she's a member of his family from an emotional standpoint. Now imagining Dragoni being in danger was something he couldn't even begin to fathom. Little Rice and Tsing Yi should be alright, don't worry about them. If they were, I would have felt it by now. But then this idea brought on another issue, which causes Bai Yan to furrow up the brow. If those two aren't in trouble, then what about Dragoni? As for Dragoni, I had some of the more elite soldiers under your father to tail her. If anything happens, then your father should know by now. Okay. The steam bun nodded, his hands still clenching tightly due to the unease. Mother, I don't want Dragoni to be in any accident. Don't worry, she'll be all right. Letting her brow loosen up to not worry her son, Bai Yan warmly brings him into a hug to reassure him. Then turning to his younger son, Jindan, go find your sister and play while me and your older brother find your father. Fawning with light in his eyes, the little glutton gets all innocent and lovely in the face over what he's going to say next. Can I go to the kitchen and get some food? Even though he ate not long ago, it doesn't change the fact that he's hungry again. Go ahead, But don't eat too much or you will get a tummy ache again. Alright, let's go Xianxia. That said, the woman herself also felt a sense of unease now and hurried to bring her eldest son along for the outside. Jean Tian on the other hand wasn't as urgent to run off to play though. Rubbing the back of his head, the little glutton only appeared a little bit off. Who is Dragoni? Is it someone else's sister that Big Brother wants to abduct? The more he thought, the more reasonable this little glutton found the theory to be so. I didn't think Big Brother is that kind of person. He is actually into abducting someone else's sister. What if the other family's Big Brother comes knocking at our door? They will break his leg. Due to all the misguided information by Xianxia himself sewed into the little baby, which was akin to brainwashing, it would be quite some years before the little glutton stopped having that image of his own idol. No, I can't stand by and watch Big Brother have his leg be broken. I must advise him to turn a new leaf and not ruin someone else's family's sister. Pumping his fist up into the air like a hero, the little glutton vows to himself. The word ruin was something by Xianxia himself taught the baby. To think it would be turned and used on himself one day. If the older boy learned of this, then he would surely ignore the little glutton for a month at least. Bai Yan and her eldest had only finished coming out of their courtyard when the man whom they are looking for arrived on his own. Yan, this is perfect. I was going to find you but didn't know you were coming on your own. This sent the woman into an alarmed state. Tensing up in the hands, tell me the truth, did something happen to Dragoni? Don't worry, I can handle it. It's like this. Deetsong's voice sounded half-hesitant as well. Dragoni is missing. The people I sent to protect her is also missing and I can't contact them anymore. I don't know what happened to her. Dragoni's missing one. Bai Yan's lip quivered over the terrible news. You say Dragoni is missing? How did she go missing? Deetsong, tell me now, which is the place? Deetsong's complexion also grew gloomy at the pressing inquiry. I also don't know the full details. The last location I know she was in was at the Holy Dragon Mountain. Holy Dragon Mountain. Tensing up along the hand, Bai Yan grew firm and hard along the face. Deetsong, me and Xianxia are going to that place. The peculiarity of that statement didn't escape the husband's ear. She specifically mentioned herself and the boy only, never him. Immediately, Deetsong got all possessive and wrapped his arms around her dress. I'll go with you too. You should understand by now, Deetsong, that we need someone here to guard against the Celestial Palace's attack. What if they invade while you are not around? Who will protect our daughter then? Stay here, that's final. But Yan, I can't be at ease if you leave on your own. Dragoni isn't the only one missing. The elite guards I sent to tail her is also missing. An incident that can put them in danger can't be simple. I don't want you to face such peril. Truthfully speaking, Dragoni wasn't exactly the most favorite person in Deetsong's roster of people he knew. He cares for Bai Yan, that's an absolute truth. However, a goddaughter to this demon king doesn't equate to putting his beloved wife in exceptional danger. I can't just leave Dragoni's fate alone. Bai Yan reaffirms her decision, getting all huffy and emotional as well. I don't know the reasoning myself, but I've liked the girl since the first time I laid eyes on her, otherwise I wouldn't have kept her around to begin with. I know you are worried about me, but I am also worried about her. No matter the danger that's ahead of the journey, I must go. Deetsong got all silent because he knew arguing here won't win him the fight today. Using his slender finger to caress through her hair, those seductive eyes looked like they could see through the beyond by gazing into the woman's own. Fine, but you must keep Xianxia by your side at all times. You hear me, boy? You are a man of the family. You must protect your mother while I'm not around. When speaking the word man towards his own son, Deetsong made sure to put extra emphasis on it to pass on the trust he had. Don't worry, baddie father, I am a man now, I will definitely keep mother safe from any harm. Making a faint chuckle at the good reply, Deetsong now appeared proud. That's my son, that's how a man of the D family should be. Bai Yan naturally felt relieved at the go-ahead from her own man. She was honestly starting to worry this possessive demon king would really force his way and bring all the children along. That would be far more disastrous than just going by herself or with Xianxia along. Dragoni's missing, too. Also, flicking his hand open after moving closer to his wife's face. Take this, it's something I recently came across by chance. This jade necklace will help keep you safe from a fatal blow for one time. If you keep it on you, then I can be at ease. He didn't lie about this item falling into his laps a few days ago, but there's more than just one use for it. Of course, Song wouldn't tell his wife what the other use was lest he wants a good beating. First Elder knew this though. He's been watching from the sideline the entire time and wanted to speak up to inform the Demon Queen, however, he ended up saying nothing after a brief thought. What's the point? This was a husband's way of protecting his own wife. He as an outsider shouldn't interfere. Bai Yen didn't resist as her man placed the jade necklace around her neck. Then, as if to reward the Demon King for his good behavior and obedience, the woman actually tiptoed her feet and kissed him along the lips. This should have been a picturesque scene that would wow the world, but not everyone was happy right now here. Bai Xiachen was rather displeased as he puckered his little lips. Oh, what to do? I also want to give mother a kiss along the cheek. But Batty father won't let me go if I do that. I'll be back soon, Song. Removing her lips from his, Bai Yen turns away for her eldest. Come Xiachen, we're going. Together, one child and one woman, the pair left the palace without delay. Unfortunately, there are many others who doesn't want them to leave. For one, the crazy old coot was one of them. Before they could even make it out of the palace grounds, the old grandpapa had come running over while flailing his hands in the air. Precious granddaughter, where are you going? I'll come with you. Pausing in her steps, Bai Yen muses over her options before replying, Grandpapa, can you do one thing for me? Rubbing the back of his head, the old coot makes a puzzled face. I'm going out with Xiachen, so I want you to keep an eye on my twins while we're not around. The strength of the Celestial Palace mustn't be underestimated. If there's only mooing around, then it's not a guarantee her children would be safe. Now that's where her grandpapa would be able to help. As for Song, he has a lot of things to oversee. The person wouldn't be able to keep a tab on the children at every moment of the day. Okay, clapping his hands as he laughed aloud. Little Ling Yan and Jin Tian are both so cute and good, just like you back then. However, where are you taking Xiachen? Can't you take me as well? At the end of the day, the old coot would rather be with Bai Yen than to stay here regardless of how fond he was of the kids. Shaking her head, the woman knew she had to do some persuasion here. I can't be at ease with my daughter being left alone. Also, aside from you and Song, I can't leave my children in other people's care. In other words, she only trusts her husband and this grandpapa the most and wouldn't entrust the twins to anyone else. Which was true and not a lie. Laughing with joy now at the given responsibility, precious granddaughter, you don't have to worry, I will make sure the babies are well protected. The old coot then went ahead to pat his chest in a reassuring manner. I won't let those bad people anywhere near them. Dragonis missing 3, but the old coot's smile disappeared again, his eyes wide with pleading, can you come back quickly? Considering how cautious his tone was, Bai Yen could already see the miserable picture the other person would make once she's gone. Closing her eyes in aching pain over what she's trying to do, she eventually came to terms and spoke up, Grandpapa, I'll be back very soon, wait here for me, okay? The old coot nodded heavily, I will be good so you can't lie to me. Cross our pinkies? Okay, pinky swear. Once I find Dragony, I'll return right away. Showing a dazzling smile, Bai Yen went ahead to hook her pinky around the elders to seal the deal. Great grandpapa goodbye. Bai Xiachen waves his hand in the air as he and his mother departed for good, which only made the old coot even more pitiful in the background. For a while, only the lonely figure of an old man stood at the palace doors, not moving and not going anywhere until the sun set for the night. The Holy Dragon Mountain was located very far from the Demon City, therefore it took quite some time before Bai Yen and the steam bun arrived at the base of this place. Even worse, there's someone blocking the road up ahead. Mother! Bai Xiachen murmurs, his hand getting uncomfortably tense as he grabbed onto his mother's sleeve. It's this woman who tried to hurt me and Dragony before. She's the one responsible for sending us down into that underground world. Bai Yen didn't need to be reminded of this because she already knew who the other side was. Though their encounter was brief back then, it's more than enough to firmly engrave the vile deceiver into her mind. You're really alive. A complex look comes off of Ruoshi's face. There's resentment, hatred, and hostility. You should be reunited with the Demon King now. Why are you coming back again? Isn't it enough for you to have one man? Why are you coming back to steal the Celestial Lord from me? The way this vile woman said it sounded like she's very disappointed and that the other side chose the most foolish and disgusting choice possible. Bai Yan already had a negative view of this woman to begin with, but her words only made her even more irritate. Then that's when her gaze landed on the crescent moon amulet around the neck. Immediately, a series of fragmented memories came swarming back to her mind. It's a picture of two girls, two young girls to be precise. They were inside a dense jungle. One had an amulet in hand and was giving it as a gift to the other girl who was called Ruoshi. This amulet, it looks familiar. You're called Yun Ruoshi, correct? Showing a dominating smile, Bai Yan asks with force in her voice, if my memories serve me right, that amulet should be mine, am I right on that as well? One could literally see the horror coming out of the imposter's face. It couldn't be helped. For Ruoshi and all that she held right now in her life, it's all derived from this crescent moon amulet. Without it, she's nothing. She's not the supposed savior of the celestial realm. She's not the most important woman in this world, she's nothing. Dragonis missing for, what are you talking about? Yun Ruoshi forces a smile to hide her inner guilt. Oh, I forgot you don't remember because you reincarnated. How can you remember the past? I bet you mistook this amulet as yours because of the fragments in your head. I'll tell you this clearly so you can stop wondering about it. This amulet is mine to begin with, then you cheated it off my hands for a while before I eventually got it back. Is that right? Bai Yan's smile deepens, but it's just a trinket, why are you acting so nervous for? Can it be the amulet has some other uses you're trying to hide? Almost like a jerk reaction, Yun Ruoshi clenches the amulet around her neck and made a vigilant look across to the other side. This amulet is something my parents left me, of course it means a lot to me. But enough, we're not here to speak about my possessions. You've got Deedsong already, why are you coming out of the demon realm to pester the Celestial Lord? Regarding the story of Keeper Ling being shoved away by Chu Yi God has already been passed onto the woman's ear, so she's well aware of the situation and what happened. Would you rather lose the world than lose her? When did Bai Yan hold such an importance position within his heart? How can he give up on the world for a mere single woman? I don't know this celestial lord you're talking about, and my one and only husband is Deedsong. In my heart, there can only be one person. As Bai Yan presses forward, her hand had already summoned out her Godslayer for battle. Sarcastic in her tone now, you are not going out of your way to pester him, but your existence is causing him to not forget you. Isn't it enough to have the demon realm in your palm already? Why do you keep coming to the celestial realm and show up in front of him? If it wasn't for this woman's temptation and seduction of the celestial lord, would he keep her in his heart for a millennium? Stopping there on the spot, Bai Yan's cold smirk devolved into an unamused one. I said it already, I don't know who you're talking about. Me and Deedsong's purpose is very clear, and that's to exact revenge on the Celestial Palace. Why should I stop for the sake of a single person I never met? That only raised the anger level in Yun Ruoshi's heart. Quit pretending like you don't know the Celestial Lord is Chu Yi God. Oh right, you shouldn't know he's him unless someone told you, isn't it? Fine, 1,000 years ago it was he who personally tied you up and brought you to execution ground. It's he who caused you to lose your unborn baby. A visible stiffness gripped Bai Yan's body in that moment. There's unbridled anger surging forward, but more were that of pain and indescribably regret. What did you just say? It's Chu Yi God who killed my son? It's he who hunted me down by sending his men? Several times she had dreamt of an unknown person, but due to the individual always having his back turned to herself, Bai Yan couldn't make out who it was. Adding in the fact that the one in the dream had black hair and a white robe, the connection never drew a spark. Dragonis missing 5. Why does it have to be him? Mother! Bai Xiachen felt the anger coming out his mother's face, so he subconsciously reached out to grasp onto her hand. Though the steam bun was still small in age, but he's nevertheless smart enough to know one of the reasons he's able to survive one of his encounters before was thanks to Chu Yi-God. Without that man, he and Bai Yan would be dead at the edge of the demon realm due to those shadow guard that day. Why should I believe you? A crunching sound comes off of Bai Yan's fist as she glared daggers at the other woman. All you have is a one-sided story, you got no evidence. Besides, you wanted to hurt my son before, that makes your story even less credible. A sneer comes off of Yun Ruoxi's tongue in return. If you don't believe me, then you can go inquire the details on your own. Most only know he's the Celestial Lord, but those in power all know him by his name, so some of your upper members in the demon realm should know. Bai Yan slowly closes her eyes, knowing she couldn't keep denying the other side's story. It wasn't all that long ago where Chu Yi-God deceived her and nearly harmed her own son, but she still believed the man would give her a proper explanation. Yet, the person never came again. How can it be him? Why did he save Xianxia and then nearly harmed him? Which side is the real him? Did he really kill the 4 sacred beasts, the same one in my dreams? This doesn't make sense. Why is everything so hard to figure out? The more she thought, the more tied Bai Yan was feeling inside. Part of her wants to believe in Chu Yi-God as a good person, but the other part of her said otherwise based on all the things that's transpired. So, for a time the lady couldn't move, only standing there in silence for a long time. Yun Ruoxi wasn't going to stand patiently and wait, of course. Showing bitter poison along the eyes, Bai Yan, if not for you, then I would have been his wife for a long time already. You clearly got Deedsong already, why do you have to reappear again? What qualification do you have to hate the Celestial Palace? All you lost is a child, while I lost the happiness of a lifetime. That's right, in the mind of this vile being, a child was nothing more than a disposable object that doesn't hold a candle to her own happiness. Yun Ruoxi, what are you doing? Exactly then a cold rumbling voice cuts down from above. Going stiff due to the familiarity, the vile woman rigidly turns around and discovered that breathtaking face. However, instead of the cold and indifferent attitude like always, the person had on an outraged expression that has never been seen before. Lo Lord. Yun Ruoxi stutters this out from the mouth, her face going pale under that menacing gaze. Let me explain. It's not like what you see. Chu Yi-God didn't pay any heed though, his entire attention only focused on Bai Yan, who sent him into a panic once their eyes met. Yenna. Bai Yan laughed in that moment. Not the small chuckle or derisive kind, but the heartfelt and pained cry of someone openly hurt by one's action. Against this, the Celestial Lord immediately felt an ominous sensation creeping up from his feet. Chu Yi-God, I ask you, is it because of you that my previous life ended up so miserable? My child, did he also leave me forever because of you? White Tiger, Azure Dragon, Black Turtle, and Vermilion Bird, did they all die because of your hands? Dragonis missing, 6. Pain and sadness always dampen down after some time. In this case, Bai Yan's final emotion were that of indifference because she didn't want to be hurt anymore. At this point, she only wants a clear answer. Yes. Under that indifferent gaze, Chu Yi-God painfully nodded and confirmed the truth. He didn't want to kill her, nor did she intend to harm her companions back then. However, the fact remains that her miserable fate and death was indeed caused by him. The man couldn't deny it. Bai Yan gently closes her eyes because her heart was shaking immensely. She thought she was prepared for the final answer, but it's clear she wasn't entirely. Mother, the steam bun tugs at the lady's hand with worry in his eyes. Then turning to the man with anger burning, you leave, don't you see my mother doesn't want to see you? Xianxia, a bittersweet smile comes off of the man's mouth, I really don't have any malice towards you, please believe me. Getting frustrated along his little face now, Xianxia raises his voice into a yell. You hurt my mother's heart, you also killed Azure Dragon and them, how can you still say you don't hold malice against us? I know you are strong and I'm not your opponent, but one day I will grow up and when that time comes, I will make you pay for everything you owe us. These words may be coming out of that childish mouth, but the tone and force in his voice showed that he's well on his way to becoming a ruler of one realm. Chu Yi-God tasted a bitter sadness in his mouth at that moment. He could see the hatred coming out of the kid's eye, and the resentful tone shooting his way. It's then he knew, whatever hope he had of winning back Bai Yan's heart was forever lost. He won't ever have a chance again. Xianxia is right, one day we will pay back the blood debt. Bai Yan announces, her eyes hard and hostile now. Out of consideration that you saved my son that one time, I won't settle the matter with you today. However, the next time we meet is when we will put an end to everything. How could I have forgotten? How could I have done that? Celestial Palace. Chui God. Yun Ruo 11. I won't let any of you go. Wait Yenner, let me explain. Chui God wanted to reach out with his hand due to panic. Unfortunately for him, his hand was promptly slapped away when near contact. Don't touch me. Compared to Ditsong, you are scum. You're not even comparable to a strand of his hair. A visible tremor could be seen across the man's shoulder, a readable sign he's been hurt by that insult. If, Bai Yan stopped for a second in her words, then snickering sarcastically, if you want me to forgive you then it's possible. I want those from the Celestial Palace to die, including this Yun Ruo Shi, can you kill them now? Initially the man flashed a flicker of hope in his eyes after hearing there's a chance to turn things around, but the latter part completely ripped the light out of his face like he's dead inside. Yenner, not now, but in the future? In the future I will. The only light, 1. Perhaps Bai Yan already knew this would the sort of answer to come of her request, so her reaction was rather mild. So, she's off limits too? Narrowing her eyes in, there's self-mockery and hatred towards the other person. Yun Ruo Shi instantly flew into an antsy panic. Hurrying to stare at the Celestial Lord for help, this impostor uses her gaze to plead for mercy. I promise you, I will definitely give you a proper answer in the future. Chui God says the same thing again. Yun Ruo Shi can't die now, nor can the Celestial Palace topple just yet, but I will definitely give her a proper answer. Chuckling in her voice now, if you want to give me an answer then kill Yun Ruo Shi now. I want her to pay for harming my child. Other than that, she has nothing else to ask for. Lord. The impostor reflexively calls out, knowing full well how much of a position Bai Yan stands within Chui God's heart. She's really afraid the man would slay her on an impulse. From beginning to end, the man never once gave Yun Ruo Shi a glance. Yenner, give me some time, she and the Celestial Palace cannot die now. You have to believe me, everything I do is for you. He raises his hand again, wanting to hold onto that dress to pass on his feelings. Unfortunately for him, a small body cuts him off by slamming into him and knocking his footing back. Get out of here. Don't you to touch my mother. Bai Xianxia yells, his eyes full of disgust. Anyone who hurts his mother and break her heart are all bad people. One could literally see the air deflating out of Chui God's soul in that moment. Against the little guy's face, he couldn't help but smile bitterly because he wasn't making excuses here. In his mind, Yun Ruo Shi needs to live, and the Celestial Palace also needs to exist for now. Xianxia, Bai Yan pulls the boy back behind herself, her cold eyes wary and alert. You don't have to do this, I won't hurt him. The behavior across from himself hurts the man even more. If you won't hurt him then why did you kill my child 1,000 years ago? He couldn't even get a glance at me before he left me forever. If you really want to help me then why did you lie to me before? I can't even keep the last wisp of his existence with me because of you. Merely recalling the fact that her child died a lonely death was a piercing pain to Bai Yan's heart. So what if the little one is not human? At least he recognizes me as his mother. Mother, Bai Xianxia felt the pain coming out of his mother's heart and attempted to soothe it. Don't be sad, I will always be with you. We will never separate. Sure enough, the grief and pain in the woman's eye gradually dissipated under her child's hopeful gaze. In front of the hostility from both mother and child, Chui God didn't know what else to say at this point. He had nothing that could defend his stance, nor find any excuses to do so. Everything was true, he single-handedly ruined the woman's previous life and murdered her child. He did it all. The only light, 3. Truly, Yun Ruo Shi did in fact believe the man choking at her throat right now saved her because he liked her, not because of something like using her as a shield. You and Yenner can't be compared together. Tossing the lump of meat to the ground in a barbaric manner, Chu Yi-God continues in a cold hard fashion. Keeper Ling and the others may be blind, but I am not. You will never be able to match her goodness. You will never be able to match her goodness. This sentence was akin to 1,000 arrows, each piercing right through to Yun Ruoxi's heart and burying her in a mountain of hurt. But why do you keep liking her more than me when I've waited a millennium for you? What's so worthy to make you choose her over me? She asks with a sorrowful face. Another gush of wind blasts out of the man in response, this time powerful enough to blow the woman off the feet and into the bushes, thus causing her to become a tattered mess in the process. I said you can't be compared to her, what don't you understand? An annoyance filled the person's voice. This is my warning, I will only let you go this one time. If you appear before Yenner again, then don't blame me for being cruel. I don't care if you are useful or not, I will personally put an end to you. A visible shudder rocked Yun Ruoxi's body as she struggled to climb up from the ground. She couldn't believe this. As a result of her pouring emotions, a tidal wave of tears spewed out of those eyes like a waterfall. Why can't he simply kill me instead of saying those cruel words to me? I waited so long for him, why do I deserve such a cruel fate? I thought even if you won't love, but you will one day marry me. Closing her eyes, she mutters this one sentence out. Didn't he almost marry me back then? If it wasn't for Bai Yen, perhaps we would be man and wife already. I only agreed because Keeper Ling promised me they wouldn't kill Yenner if I did so. I believed him, yet they went back on their promise and never intended to let her go. Yun Ruoxi, don't think I don't know you're one of the main reasons in pushing those old fools into treating her that way. A huge look of panic gripped the woman's face at being pointed out. No. I didn't. Lord, you must have misunderstood me. Is it Bai Yen? Did she tell you something false? How did he find out? It must be Bai Yen. Yes, it must be her. She must have said something while I wasn't around. Yenner don't know anything, so you can stop blaming her for everything. Only Keeper Ling and them would be so oblivious. After a millennium, I've seen through it all. The funny thing was he too had been blinded by lies and deceit back then, hence his foolish decision to harm his love of a lifetime. Going numb in the legs, Yun Ruoxi collapses to the ground again, her eyes exposing a look of distraught. And unlike earlier, the imposter wouldn't believe the man was doing it out of mercy or love, it's definitely something darker. So he knows everything. If he knew, then why did he leave me my life? I never liked you, never had and never will. When I first met you I already disliked you, and the only reason I remained polite was due to Yenner's connection. The only light for, now cherish the time you have remaining, there's not much left in it. After throwing down this bone-chilling sentence, Chu Yi-God turned and flew away like a brisk wisp of wind. He's always been like this. Come and go as he pleases without leaving a trace of his existence. Half a ring later, Yun Ruoxi finally returned to her senses after being left alone. Unlike the terrified expression she had on earlier though from the conversation, her face was twisted and grotesque. Bai Yen, I want you to die. Even if I can't get the Lord, I will never give you a chance to live in this world in peace, just you wait. If she wasn't here, if she didn't existence, Chu Yi-God would have definitely loved me instead. Yes, this is all her fault, I did nothing wrong. Winger, get your ass out here, come out this instant. She roars. It didn't take long, only a second for the figure in black to appear at the front. Though the person's face was constantly covered under his cloak, it didn't take much to see his expression was cool and calm. Winger, you said before that Bai Yen gave birth to a son, did you not? Go kill the child now, I want Bai Yen to suffer the experience of losing her child. Making a shudder, the man grew hesitant and unwilling. Didn't you say you only want me to deal with her daughter? Why are you asking me this now? You damn garbage, do you not see how she's treating me? Because of her, the Lord has misunderstood me. So what if I kill her son? Winger didn't speak, only staying still and silent for the longest time before replying. Ditsong's strength is very strong, coupled with the many powerful demons under him. I can't kill the young prince while under their watch. What little prince? Who allowed you to call him the little prince? That's a bastard child. A child born of foul blood. I don't care how you do it, you must kill the boy. I saved your life, so don't you forget that. You should be grateful to me. Isn't your Pteroraptor crow kind always willing to repay their debt? Winger hung head his under that scolding voice but still managed to murmur a rebuke back. I am not a garbage. It's just that I can't use my full powers because of those enemies. They will find me if I do. What's more, I don't want to hurt a young innocent child. Roshi, I know you have a grudge against the Demon Queen, but you should be going after her and her husband, not. Upon seeing the livid face of the woman that's shooting a vicious glare his way, Winger promptly stopped and grew hesitant again. The child is only 2 years old, he doesn't know anything and haven't done anything. Please, I can't do this. The child can only blame himself for being born into that sort of family, he can't blame us. Getting bloodshot red in the eyes, Yunruo, she loses all her cool. I am ordering you now as your benefactor, kill him. Winger closed his eyes, feeling the throbbing pain thump away at his own consciousness. He's a proud member of the Pteroraptor crow family, a prestigious demon kind that's known to repay any debt they owe. But to do something this heinous and immoral, he's finding it difficult to accept.